The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
Episode number 50. It is 235 days till the man burns as of this recording. But holy shit, we're at episode number 50. 50! Yowza! Wowza! Is it yowza or wowza? Wow, it just kind of crept right up on us, didn't it? I was digging through the archives. The very first episode of this show was an interview with Brady Mahaney, community leader, and it was actually recorded before I even attended my first Burning Man. I mean, I'd burned before, but not at Burning Man, like not at that level. And that's super weird, because, that is how confident I've been in the vision for this project. I knew before I even made it out there that this is a thing that we should be doing. And the Burner Podcast thing, the movements, the whatever, has had a lot of hands in it in order to get it to where we are today. In the beginning, it was just me and Alpi, the voice. In the beginning, it was the voice. I don't know. Flash forward a couple of years, and we've had events, projects on Playa. We've had a couple of more shows under the Burner Podcast umbrella, and there's more on the way. So, it's been one hell of a ride. A ride culminating in this, the 50th episode, which I won't lie to you, has been just the biggest fucking pain in the ass, and I just cannot wait to be done with it. I'm going to skip past all the shit that happened in the last 3 weeks and get right to the day where we recorded the discussion that you're about to hear right now. So today's show is the second time we've done this. It's the San Diego Collaborative Arts Board Candidate Roundtable. It's a lot of words. In a minute, you will hear Jasmine breaking down all the details that you need to know about the elections. She is the elections proctor. But the TLDR is that 3 seats are going to be open for the board of San Diego Collaborative Arts. And we invited all the nominees to sit down and have a casual chat so that we can get to know them better. Thing is, even if you're not in San Diego and you're not interested or able to be a part of this process, it's still a fascinating conversation with fascinating people about fascinating topics. I think the topics we hit will be of interest long after this quote-unquote election is over. And I am doing quoties, by the way, when I say election. And we're going to get into why I'm doing quoties, which you can't see because this is an audio medium. So sound engineer Freckle and I set up 3 mics for the roundtable conversation. While we were recording, I noticed that one of them failed. Like it happened 20 minutes into it, and the memory card got full and I couldn't replace it without losing the rhythm of the conversation. And I can tell you from years of doing interviews that you do not want to lose the rhythm. It's like once you get that rhythm going, you get nice kind of emotion, kind of a back and forth happening. There's kind of a push and pull. You don't want to fuck that up or you'll screw up the orgasm. And I thought, you know what? No worries. We've got 2 more mics going. And after we finish the roundtable, Freckle proceeds to work on the second mic, the recording from that one, which was our primary. He texts me a few hours later, and I'm at this birthday party out in Alpine, that the recording from that mic is totally unusable due to technical reasons, which I will not bore you with at this moment. So I'm driving home from this birthday party, and I hadn't yet given myself permission to panic until I started thinking about all the coordinating that went into this episode. I mean, you may not have noticed it, but this was released a week later than the usual release date, and that was in order to fit the schedule of all the guests, because there's a bunch of them on this episode. The election proctor, Jasmine, had to communicate with 12 or so nominees. We had this miscommunication about location, so we had to record at Crow Lab instead of at Freckles. People gave up their Saturdays to come in. Like, there's a bunch of things. There was emotional moments that we shared together. I mean, there's a lot that went into it. And I'm thinking about all this as I walk into my place. This backup recording that's sitting on my MacBook is all we have. And if this one failed as well, we don't have a show. So I sit down, I pop open the MacBook, I take a deep breath, and I hit play. And my heart sinks as I hear only the deafening silence in my apartment. And I start to feel my blood boil. And then I notice, oh, it's on mute. And I unmute the computer, and there it is, the recording in its entirety. Oh man. And now the thing is, the recording quality is not our best. I'm gonna warn you about that right now. In fact, it might be our worst. Because it was the backup mic. I apologize to you for that. But we have the whole thing. So that's something. I mean, we have the whole, it might sound kind of not great, but we've got the entire conversation. So again, first you're going to hear our election proctor, Jasmine, and I breaking down the election for like 8 minutes. And then after that, you're going to hear the full roundtable conversation, and everybody will introduce themselves. And, we're not going to get into that right now. So I recording quality aside, it was really one of the most awesome episodes I've ever had the pleasure of recording. I really did have a fucking blast sitting with all these amazing people. And okay. You know what? Let's do this. Enough intro. Today's episode is the return of SDCAP Board Candidate Roundtable. Woo! Or SDCAP Board Candidate Roundtable 2017. Either way, those words will be in there somewhere. Whatever. I'm so glad to be done with this bloody episode. I go by Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was the fly with the balls and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for the give you no name.
Although during the day we were adult contemporary when school was in session, and after school we were hard rock to midnight, and then in college it was college rock.
That's awesome. So you were like, with your voice was on the radio and everything?
Yeah, I was a DJ. We do cut commercials.
Can you do like a quick like drop?
Not anymore.
Kids
It's been like
a real...
it's been like 25 years.
Right,
dude.
off the cuff drop? Disappointing. I thought it was amongst peers.
I know, but it's been like 25 years and I suck now.
Okay, well, introduce yourself real quick for the listeners.
So I am Jasmine. I am the SDCAP elections proctor for this year's election for the SDCAP Board of Directors.
Okay, what does a proctor mean?
I am the one who facilitates the election in a third-party position, so that way it makes sure that everything is fair and unbiased, and done in a very clean and concise way. Hopefully, so that way there won't be any sort of, issues with whether or not somebody was elected fairly. Right. That whole thing.
You are what Jimmy Carter would have liked to have had at our elections.
I think I'm what Clinton would have liked to have had at our election.
But fair enough. So, okay, you need to give us a quick breakdown of some of the basic things that the listeners should know in regards to the upcoming conversation with the gaggle of burners that are downstairs as we speak.
Absolutely. Well, I figured the first thing that I would do...
Oh my God, they're so loud.
Shut up.
Okay.
Fucking hippies. Anyway, I figured first thing I would do is give you a full list of the nominees. Not all of them, unfortunately, were able to make it for the podcast, but this at least gives you a full view of who the possible candidates are. First one is Lisa Dangsa Walden. She is actually a current board member, and she's rerunning this year. Then there is Dawn Sardinas, Alicia Smith, Ken Simmons, Hayden Hill, Jerry Bailey, Natalie Momo McKellar, Marty Reed, Lisa Ubiquitous Guerrero, Kim Eisenberg, Marie Dimples Reed, and Robert Jim Robs, otherwise known as Bob, Palazzi.
Okay. And how many of them are here?
As of right now, last count, there should be 8.
Okay. And how did the invitation process work? We just kind of threw it out to them and let them know that this was happening?
Yes.
I was just told to show up.
Yeah, once the date was confirmed, I emailed all of the candidates and let them know that unfortunately I could not give them a range of dates given the short notice, but that come to Collab today at noon, get recorded, doing fun stuff, and talk about the election and why we should want you.
Right. And as we always, we're going to repeat some of this information once we talk to the group, but this holds no official capacity whatsoever. It's just so you get to know people. Yep.
Get to know people, get some information out, things that they would like the community to know. And I'm sure some goofy stories will come out that they will regret and, later. Like life.
Yeah. Those are my favorite shows.
Right?
I would like for you to walk away as if you had a one-night stand with somebody you deeply regret meeting.
Oh, so you're a Coyote Ugly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's the show. So any other information people need to know?
Yes. One of the things that we did want to make clear this year, while we have tried to make it clear last year, we just want to make sure that this information is out to everyone so that there are no questions about what the elections process is for the SDCAP Board of Directors. Basically, the statement is this. You can find it on Facebook and other places, but SDCAP and its board considers community input to be a valuable resource in general, and particularly when choosing new candidates for open positions on the Board of Directors. Each year, we seek nominations from the public and have an advisory election to gauge community opinion regarding potential candidates. Candidates may campaign using the established candidate forum. We have one on Facebook. It is the SDCAP Candidate Forums Q&A. You can find it. Please join. And whatever other means they choose to seek community support. We then have an advisory vote, both online and in person. The vote count is collected and shared with the current members of the SDCAP board. The board weighs current community support along with a number of other factors in its selection of candidates for board participation. Other factors include specific skills needed for the board, for example, accounting, grant writing, legal, public relations, etc., experience with our mission, community participation, diversity, and things of that nature. On most occasions, the advisory vote and these other factors dovetail well, and the candidates with the most votes are selected. But on occasion, they do not, and the board may choose a candidate who received fewer votes in the advisory election. However, they had the qualifications that were best needed for the board.
Kind of like an electoral college.
Kind of, yeah. So the ultimate goal really is to put in place a board that is well suited to serve the community interest and succeed in our mission of supporting individuals, groups, and communities in the San Diego, California region. We're hoping that, we can help facilitate producing and demonstrating collaborative arts and projects, particularly in those that model the 10 principles of Burning Man. So that is what the election is.
I like that we had the fine print ahead of time.
Of course. Because again, I don't want anyone going into the election with, with any illusions that, hey, this person won the greatest amount of votes. That's fantastic.
Right.
But if we want to make sure that they are qualified and we don't have a Donald Trump on our hands. So, so again, and it's always done with the needs of the community in mind. And with what is going to best serve, because we are managing, Collab, this wonderful community center for everyone to be able to use, down to, creating utopia, and then also giving grants and furthering art in the burner community. And we want to make sure that we are doing that in the best way possible for everyone.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, Jasmine. We really appreciate your volunteer work as the board proctologist. It's wonderful.
If that's a truer statement than you even can possibly
spending a lot of time up people's asses.
Indeed. And with that said, registration for online voting is open now if you go to the candidate forum, or of course I have also spammed Facebook with all sorts of information about that as to where to go and where the form is. It's a Google form to fill out, so that way should you decide that you want to vote online, you can do that. If you do register to vote online, that doesn't mean that you only have to vote online. We are actually going to have a town hall here at CoLab on the 15th, starting at 1 p.m. We're going to have a candidate Q&A, as well as physical in-person voting. So if you want to go ahead and register to online vote and you can come and do it in person, awesome. Great. If not, you at least have the backup to do it online. This does not mean you can vote online and in person. We do follow IP addresses, and we do want to make sure that, again, this is a fair election and that, everyone gets their one vote in. So please. And online voting itself actually starts, and of course it would be nice if I had that in front of me. Where are you?
I can't do that.
Oh, here we go. Online voting itself will be open from January 14th through 11:59 p.m. on January 27th.
Nice.
So
through
again,
January 27th?
Through January 27th.
Cool, it ends on my birthday.
Yeah. So at 11:59 p.m. I will be closing them at exactly midnight. So anything beyond that, too bad, so sad, don't mean to be mean, but we do have to be able to count everything and present it to the board so that way we can have our candidates official and announced in a timely manner. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to email me at elections@sdcap.org. That's elections @sdcap.org.
I kind of wish you hadn't spelled that, because I think if they can't spell elections, I don't know if they should be
Well, that is true. That is more because sometimes you can't hear that last S.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that people knew that was there.
Plural, not just one.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you so much, Jasmine.
No problem.
Let's get into it.
Burner Podcast.
Hey guys, I'm over recording, so any embarrassing things you say are going to
Sweet.
Have you guys ever actually felt fight or flight before?
Yes.
No, really felt it, because Meg was just, for the listeners, Meg was just giving fire safety procedures, so that in case of fire, we know which way to run. I was at a party when I was 19, and I remember I was talking to this random person from my high school, and all of a sudden we started hearing gunshots in the front of the house, and I have no idea what happened next, but there was a moment that I completely blacked out, and I was trying to climb the the ice plants that they have in the back of houses and suburban areas, literally trying to climb those up, and I'm pretty sure I knocked girls out of the way. There's nothing heroic about
Such a gentleman.
that moment.
Raj.
That is you really know who you are when fight or flight instinct really kicks in. You're an animal trying to survive. Somebody tell me a funnier fight or flight story so we can get the ice cracked. Who's got one?
I think you ice plant cracked. I think you did good.
Yeah.
Especially when pushing women out of the way.
I mean, at least it was all teenagers. I don't think it was any elderly people.
This proper woman thing. Get out of my way.
They can handle it. All right, guys. Welcome to, what are we calling this episode?
SDCAP Board Member Candidate Special Edition 2.
You know what? Here's the thing.
Something.
It's actually, it is a long title. I think we're going to remove
nicely.
Yeah. We're going to remove the special edition card, because this is going to be actually episode number 50.
Fuck yeah!
Cool.
Yeah.
Are we going to actually count it, or we're not going to call it a 0.5? I thought we called the first one 0.5 or some shit.
We did, and then we ended up having only that one special edition ever, so it didn't really make sense. We're fuck it, this is an episode. I mean,
Ross, this is a huge deal for us.
Yeah.
Episode 50?
Episode 50.
Fucking real?
Episode 50. Nobody has told us to stop yet.
I'm verklempt.
I remember the first time we got a message from Burning Man HQ.
Oh my god, you and I were Zach contacted us. Now what?
Cease and desist letter. Nope, they're
hey, this is really awesome.
Keep doing it.
Holy shit.
Okay, so I want to go around the room, and I'm going to have all of you guys introduce yourselves so that the listeners can associate a name with a voice, and probably in 2 minutes forget who they're hearing. We'll start on that side. Actually, you know Meg already. If you're
Producer Meg, producing.
Executive producer Meg.
Executive producer Meg, producing.
That means she does less but gets a bigger title.
Right?
It's awesome.
It's rad. It's rad.
You're doing a great job not being here. You get a prize.
Cassie. I'm a current SDCAP board member, and I'm here for comic relief.
Ah, that's right. Found a way to be
Put
here.
a lot of weight on your shoulder. I haven't seen nothing yet.
I'm so happy you're here because, as I was saying earlier, I'm either hungover or still drunk from last night, so I'm gonna need some help with that. Okay.
I'm Lisa, or Lisa Guerrero, or Lisa Ubiquitous, or Lisa. I don't know. Whatever you want to call me. I am a current lead with Utopia and part of Miscreant Band Camps, and you guys all either love me or hate me.
What does ubiquitous mean?
Found everywhere.
Oh. Is that true of you?
Yes, that's how I got the nickname. When I was a raver, this guy that I used to see on and off, he knew that I was going to be at this rave, and I didn't know he was going to be there. And apparently he spent the majority of the night looking for me. It was one of the off-again times. And he spent like the entire night looking for me, talked to people. It was like every time he'd get somewhere, they'd be like, oh, she just went over there. And so just this wild goose chase. And then he finally found me. And he's like, wow, you're really ubiquitous. And then he stopped. He looked at me. He's like, and that's your rave name. And it just stuck. That's just been my DJ name and my nickname for, God, 10 years, something.
I love it. That's perfect.
She is pretty ubiquitous too. Like, I'll show up at things where I don't think she even knows those people, and she'll be right there, and I'll be like, the fuck? And like, I didn't even meet her as a DJ or a miscreant. I met her at a fucking art build.
Yeah.
And like, didn't know she was part of any of the rest of it. She was just the chick who showed up at the art build in very short clothing.
No, I don't wear short clothing. It was probably tight though.
It was tight. And it was your earrings that I kept thinking about. You had long earrings or something.
Long earrings.
No, was it you?
No, that wasn't
Okay, maybe I'm thinking about somebody completely different. There was some other ubiquitous. There was somebody who showed up with.
That was me.
I'm sorry.
How could you forget Rosh and his short shorts?
You know, it's wonderful.
I had to blast it out of my brain.
Mo.
I'm Monique, known as Mo or Momo. Miscreant, helped out with Fort Ya, and currently working with Fort Bant.
Alright. What is Fort Ya and what is Fort Bant?
Fort Ya was something that me and Lemmy came up with. It's a giant adult blanket camp.
The blanket
blanket fort camp that we did for 3 years
So
with
good.
Allison Ginkle.
Okay.
Decided to leave us, but yeah.
And Fort Bant.
And then Fort Bant, we did the Bastard Bar, the Punk Rock Patio, and the Spirit of Guadalupe.
Yeah, the Fort Bant is like a conglomerate of all three of our camps. So the Ants, the Bats, and Fort Bant.
Huh. It's like a Bermuda Triangle of
That's a
punkery.
trifecta.
Trifecta, yes.
Bermuda trifecta.
I guess it would be, yeah, Bermuda.
People do get in there and disappear.
Yes.
That is factual.
Don?
My name is Dawn Sardinus. I go by Dawn. And
As you guys can tell, by the way, we're going this way, so be ready to...
I was thinking I don't really have like all the things to say.
Oh my god, you
I
failed
know.
your first test.
I know, it's such a failure.
I do all sorts of cool things. Art and weldy stuff. And
Yeah. So I moved to San Diego. I'm a burner transplant from New York to San Diego.
Welcome.
I was super stoked to be welcomed so open-heartedly in the San Diego community, and I'm pretty blown away after just being here for 2 years that I was nominated for the board, and I'm stoked.
Are you
And-
serious?
and look,
for 2 years?
And I have California vocabulary. I said stoked and rad
And awesome.
and awesome.
We just need to get Hella in there.
we're in Southern California.
Yeah, I know, but it's linked.
It's like my favorite thing that I've learned this year. I never noticed it, but it's such a Southern California thing. When we say no, we say yeah, no.
No, yeah.
It's like no, it's like
Yeah,
no,
no.
yeah.
No, you're good, dude.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, yeah, you're good. So, personal story. My favorite thing to share with people about Dawn is this awesome video of her that I share like every time we get drunk at a party. Like, you guys have to look at this. It's on YouTube. So, Dawn, you're what degree?
I'm a 5th degree. I'm a 5th degree black belt in traditional Taekwondo.
Okay.
In my previous life, I owned and operated my own martial arts school in Manhattan.
Right, and the video that I show everybody is of Dawn breaking boards in
So
high
good.
red heels.
So I
I have not seen this video.
I'll share it with you.
So, like I said, I'm a pretty high-ranking female black belt, and one of my students came to me and was like, well, what do you do if you're in heels, or what do you do if you're wearing a skirt? And I'm like, well, a skirt, they just see your pennies before you knock them out. It's not that big a deal. I'm like, but heels, you have to figure out like what you can and can't do in your shoes, and maybe you don't want to be wearing shoes that you can't do anything in. Mm-hmm. So that year when I was testing for my 5th degree black belt, all of my demos. So there's that one. There's another one that it came up on my thing today. Like, remember 5 years ago? And so that year I did everything in high heels.
My name's Dawn, and I don't really do anything. Like Ginger Rogers of martial arts.
That's baller.
Yeah.
It's healer.
Yeah.
Hey, good afternoon, I'm Ken. I'm a man of few words, so this is going to be a long-ass day for me.
All right. I've gone off on many rants on this show about how this is a community of predominantly introverted people, in my observation.
Oh, that's hysterical to me, because I'm a complete introvert. I think all of you are extroverts, and I just kind of sit over here and enjoy the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think that, my observation,
Yeah, cool.
I think that, I think we have a lot of introverts in the room. I think that when we're amongst each other, we get super talkative. When we go out into the world, a lot of us are the quiet people in the room. Lisa's raising her hand. You understand this is an audio medium.
It wasn't really relevant for the show, and people don't usually believe me when I say that.
Yeah.
So,
I think she was just saying she's one of those people.
Yeah. I think everybody in this room is.
I am fucking not.
You know,
I am not an introvert.
That's true,
In
actually.
any way, shape, or form.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, me neither.
Neither am I.
I'm a watcher.
Yeah.
I'm a watcher too.
Kind of in your face.
I would say, I agree, definitely. Meg, a lot of times, has saved me in situations where I'm like, I really need to network with this person, but I don't want to talk to anybody right now. She'll just kind of see the look on my face and like take over. I'm like, oh, thank God.
All right, Meg, will you be my savior today and just take over?
I will answer things for Ken when Ken looks confused.
Beautiful.
You realize what you just signed up for?
Yeah.
The responses that are being put forth by Meg on behalf of Ken in no way resemble anything Ken might actually think, say, do, or feel.
Or would own up to.
But they'll be amusing.
All right. That's you.
That's me?
That's, by the way, that's Ryan Freckle, our sound extraordinaire, who you've heard on this show in the past.
Shit.
Sound guys don't have to talk.
These are sound guys.
That's super ironic.
I am Hayden.
Hayden's an extrovert.
I am an extrovert for the most part, except
What
for
a dick.
I know.
Get your hands out from in front of your mouth when
I'm
you talk.
sorry. I've been around for a while. I try not to talk too much because I'm usually kind of loud and boisterous anyway. I'm kind of terrorizing things and running through stuff and having a good time. I like to help people.
Thank God.
I also like to drink beer.
Has that been happening before this show?
So if I need help drinking beer, you're...
Yes,
You're man.
I would love beer to drink. Yeah, that would be great. I don't know. Yeah, that's me. I don't know. I've got names. People call me other stuff. People call me all types of shit, but you can just call me Hayden. That's fine.
What are some of those names, Hayden?
I got the best names.
Shit.
I got all kinds of names.
I don't know.
Under budget. Ground score.
Oh, that's right. Ground score. I forgot.
What was the other one? Joe Brown Eye is a new one.
Joe Brown Eye PI.
Yeah, master in finding all the bullshit. That's actually one thing, yeah. If you lose anything at a party, I will fucking find it.
Well, that's Joe Brown.
That's your superpower?
One of them, yeah. The other one is...
Unless that's a ground score. He never found it.
Ground score.
No, in fact, if it's a ground score and it looks like it belongs to somebody and that's in the vicinity, I'll definitely try to find out whose it is. Like, if it's money, I'll definitely try to find out where it goes. But if it's...
beer?
Not money.
Not money.
Or a traditional ground score.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost my dignity at your last party, so...
Can't find
There's no finding
That's
that.
no.
And you
If
didn't
you're
listen
the
to
one
the
that
last
asked me
party.
to
You
go
listened
for it.
long before that.
Did you ask me to
There wasn't a whole lot of interview.
Did you ask me to go find it?
No, I didn't know that was a thing that you could
Yeah,
do.
no, that's
I'm pretty sure it dissolved in a pool of alcohol.
It's entirely wrong.
Just saying.
But noted. Our tracker.
Hi, I'm Marie Reed, and I go by Dimples. Not nipples, but dimples. I am an ADA lead, Americans with Disabilities Act lead for Utopia, and try to help everybody out when I can.
Beautiful. When did you move to San Diego? You've always been here?
I've been here since I was 2.
Okay.
Basically.
Pretty much all the time.
Well,
yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Mostly.
My favorite early interaction of ours was I shot a music video in front of what was it? There was a rehabilitation center.
Yeah.
Scripps, yeah, and you recognized it. Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty awesome.
I went there.
Yeah.
I was a patient.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
I'm Kim Eisenberg, no playa name, just Kim, and I have been a part of a Burning Man theme camp called Uli Babas since 2011. I've been the lead for the last 2 years. I just stepped down from that. For Utopia, I've been with Uli's, Holy Shiitake, and Fool's Errand in a bunch of different capacities, volunteered for a bunch of Utopia departments, and have a bee in my bonnet around the consent thing, and have worked with Meg and others at Utopia to get consent language and guidelines incorporated into the fabric of what we do there.
Yeah. Is that a bonnet?
I'm not wearing a bonnet.
Okay.
No, this is just a hat, Arash.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what a bonnet is.
You may remember Kim from our Kim Eisenberg episode, where she discussed things like Uli Babas and.
I was gonna say, so Kim.
Wait.
Talking stick. All right. Kim does have what we call on radio a hard out at 2 p.m. What hard out means is she just has to leave. There's no stretching that time. But if you want to hear more of Kim, you can go to episode number 31 of Burner Podcast, where we did talk about consent and Uli and all that stuff. Okay. Who is not here?
Not with us today right now are Lisa Danksa, who is a current member of the board running for re-election for her seat. Robert Pelosi, Jim Robbs, is also a candidate for the board. Martin Reed, is not with us today because he's at some other board meeting.
M-O-R-E-D.
Who else am I missing?
I think that's it.
Marie, can you be speaking on behalf of Marty?
I'm speaking on
Yes,
behalf
there's
of
another
my
spot.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's,
there's only 7 of
9
you. I just listed. Who am I missing?
There's one more.
How many are there?
There are 12 of you running.
Oh, missed
someone dropped out.
Oh, you missed someone.
I'm missing someone.
Because you named 3.
And the other
there's 9.
person.
All right, so
I'll figure that out.
We'll have to
At
figure that
some
out,
point
figure
in the broadcast, I will
Everyone should vote for
blurt
that
out
person.
names.
Yes. All right, so we do have plans for a future episode with Marty, so we're going to get to know him regardless. Bob was on episode number 27 of Burner Podcast for the listeners who want to get to know him. So you can check that out. Thanks has not been on any of them yet. So she doesn't show up here
Last
today.
year's board one, no?
Oh,
No,
she
the year that she was elected was the year that we did a board election show, and she could not be there.
Okay.
Oh, Alicia Smith, from the pizza
Allie.
camp, Allie.
Yes.
Perfect.
She makes pizza at Utopia. She's
Oh, I
right.
like her.
I love
Fans of her.
pizza.
All right, guys. I'm pretty much. So we have this. I don't know. Script is a strong word. We have some notes from last year about how we ran the podcast, and I was looking over them, and mostly they are going to continue to work pretty much just the same. But also, I was too lazy to come up with new things. So we're going to go with the same sort of general structure. So this is sort of like the rapid fire, fun, fast questions. Kim, flight or invisibility?
Invisibility.
Why?
Fuck, I don't know. I didn't have time to think about it.
Creepy.
Yeah. Totally.
Dawn, if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Bananas.
All right, good.
Vitamin C.
Ken, what is your favorite principle?
Leave no trace.
Okay, why?
I've been a backpacker forever. It's one of my little pet peeves in life. Seeing litter, I pick up trash almost every day in my normal life.
Yeah. I actually got a ticket for like throwing a cigarette out the window. Like, I don't know.
Sorry, this isn't going to endear me to you, but good!
Oh, yeah. No. I fully deserved it.
every trash pickup I do, like, the number one picked up item is cigarette butts. So all you smokers out there, hold on to your butt, please.
Seriously, assholes. No, this is like 4 years ago. I actually been smoking like 2 years ago now, but
sweet.
yeah, it's funny. I remember like I threw it out the window. Cop pulls me over and he's like, yeah, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I'm a dick. I'm a complete jerk.
I am an asshole. and I had to go do public service at the Central Library.
Oh, I hope you had to pick up cigarette butts.
Yeah, no. They found a way to, for some reason, not do that. They put me in the Central Library, which is the most mind-numbing work you could possibly do.
It's awful.
It was more punishment, I think, than picking up trash. But yeah, you're right. Cigarette butts are everywhere.
Well, I like picking up trash, which kind of makes me weird. So that wouldn't be punishment. I don't know.
Good. That is a good talent to have. Mo, what is your favorite part of San Diego?
Ocean Beach.
Okay. Why?
It's the most liberal part of San Diego. It's fun. I lived there for a really long time.
Sure.
And everywhere else, San Diego's pretty conservative.
I remember they picketed when they were trying to open a Starbucks.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
And then they opened a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Turns out money is everything.
Starbucks was like, "Are you guys done yet?" Okay, so
because money wins.
Who wants coffee?
Yeah.
I'll take one, please.
Yeah, for all the people that picketed, I'm pretty sure they're in line the next day to get their frappuccinos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In one sentence, how do you describe participation?
Oh shit.
Me too.
Is that a full sentence?
In one word or one sentence? Okay, gotta make
Just
one
like a
word.
verb.
Yeah.
Is that a verb or the noun?
Participation would be. Oh my, I'm just having a blank here.
I think oh shit worked.
Okay, I'm going with it.
I'm good with it. Is everybody good with those shit?
Yeah.
That might be a
I'm going
t-shirt.
to allow it.
Brian's our tiebreaker. Hayden. I don't know why. This was a note I had.
My fault.
No, that's so funny. I had this note from last year, specifically for cable. Just thought it would be funny. Would you describe me as hot or handsome?
Handsome.
Good, thank you.
Isn't that what Cable said too, though?
Yeah.
That's weird that you and Cable would
disappointed.
say the same thing.
It's like you're in his mind.
Ross just wants to be hot, you guys. Don't you know?
I didn't know.
What about dreamy?
Well, when I first met
I'm
you,
good with dreaming.
Dreamy. I like dreamy.
You are.
That wasn't one of the questions, so it's
That would-
automatically disqualified.
Yeah, that's true. All right. We had the groups thing set up, but honestly, I think we have an intimate enough group that's speaking fast enough. So we're gonna go ahead and try to spread these questions out amongst all of you as much as possible, so everybody gets an opportunity to answer. First question I want to go through everybody to ask is, what is the most positive thing that this community has given you? So let's start on this side with Ubiquitous.
The most positive thing that this community has given me has been really kind of finding my self-worth and what my talents and superpowers are, and helping me to build confidence and a real love for helping those around me to achieve that as well.
Okay. What group are you?
Group 2.
Okay, you know what? Let's just do that group. Where's group 2? Who else is group 2? You 3? Okay, perfect. Same question. Mo.
Damn you, Lisa, but yes, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. Like, it really helped me come out as being a little bit of an introvert and like really come out and like become part of Miscreants and make more friends and work with other people and do these camps that are so much fun and see everybody do their own, like, be expressive, and yeah, it's a amazing thing.
Dawn?
Like I said, when I first got here from New York, the San Diego burner community was just such a warm, welcome space. Like, they were like excited to meet me. I was super suspicious about everybody who was like, they're like, hey, call me, we'll do something sometime. I'm like, I wonder what they want. And I'm like, how can they want anything? They don't know me. And I'm like, oh, they're just being nice. That's weird.
California versus New York.
Right? So, yeah.
So even like the New York burner scene is kind of like that?
Yeah. I participated for like 2 years. Like, I don't think I ever knew who I was.
Wow.
I was just
Yeah.
getting invited to stuff
Yeah.
after 2 years of participating and showing up, like Jake at the previous burner podcast.
Yeah. San Diego, I think I've spoken to a lot of burners that like have come through here, people that we've met on Playa, and people do say there's something special about San Diego. Something
It's
stands
super
out.
warm and super tight. And the first San Diego event I went to was Poncho in 2014, because someone told me
Poncho!
that
Super tight.
yeah, it was. And
It was a
I
good
got
Poncho.
there with you, Arash, and I just saw everyone hugging and loving on each other, and like, it was like a family reunion. It was super like a family reunion. And I was a little sad I didn't have people to hug like that. But sure enough, next year I did.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah, I remember I had the exact same thought process.
Yeah.
Okay, group 2 is Ken and Hayden.
No, that was group 2.
That we were 2.
Yeah.
They're
Group 1.
They're
Okay.
one.
You're 1. Okay, well, let's go to group 1. I'm so official.
Come on, moderator.
They segregated themselves naturally. It's so odd.
It's wonderful.
It worked out perfect.
They're already in parties.
Watch out.
What do you see being the most positive thing you notice our culture has contributed to the lives of other people around you? So it doesn't necessarily have to be people that are in the community, but have you seen how this has contributed to people that you've observed? Kim's
I guess I'm
really
going
used to
first.
that, yes.
No,
You're not sure if I was talking to you?
No, I was thinking of multiple examples.
Yeah.
I could tell
Good,
you
good.
were talking to me because of the eye contact
Good.
thing. So I think the real obvious one that we can see in our community, whether it impacts burners or other community members, is the proliferation of art that's happening. So with bigger events like Figment that take place down in Barrio Logan, and then smaller things like during Art Around Adams, the Normal House got a modest grant funding through SDCAP to allow them to do a community mural on the front of the building, and that was something that was burner art. It's a burner intentional community, but it really drew in the whole community. So there were people of all ages, there's a kids section on the wall, so things like that, and I know there are lots of other things that are happening like that too. So I think it's broadening the conversation about art in our neighborhoods and in our backyards. And then I think there are also other things that are more social impact around shifting people's behaviors, around things like picking up trash, around things like radical inclusion, around things like furthering consent culture while still allowing people to radically express themselves. And I think that those lines are a little bit tougher to see sometimes, but they're definitely there and happening. And, I can tell through ripples in my own networks that go outside of burner culture, I can see the impact that it has.
All right. By the way, I want to say that was incredibly articulate, by the way. I said that Kim needs to start her own podcast, too. By the way, anytime you guys have something to say, feel free to chime in. Don't think that you have to wait until you're being called on. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm going to run out of shit to ask sooner or later. Marie, same question.
I agree 100% with Kim, but there's more that's out there, like she said, like the Burner podcast gets it out into the regular community because some people, check it out online and it's really good.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of other things that are going on, which my memory is not getting any of them but what Kim said. I think I'll go with Kim's articulate answer.
Yes. All right. that's how the group thing works.
As a bizarre aside, I would like to share that, so I have my own business and I have a website and online marketing, so I get a lot of people that come to me, just randoms through the internet. I've had people who've researched me because they're thinking about hiring me who listened to my podcast with you. I've also gotten some inappropriate messages about that.
Oh, I'm real proud of that.
Yeah.
Inappropriate messages!
So it's a little bit of that radical expression kind of coming full circle into my business life as a result of Burner Podcast and our impact on the larger community.
Nice.
Just wanted to share.
That's beautiful. I love it. You guys are group 1, right?
3.
No, group 3.
That's 1, 3, 2.
All right, who cares? You guys are group.
It's all good.
All the boys are their own group.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Segregation.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot of women running for the board this year.
That's good.
That's
Women rock.
fucking rad.
I
can leave.
No, you can't.
Not in here, you can't.
I'm kidding.
All right. I want to know, what was your introduction into the community? What was the thing that you noticed that sucked you the fuck in?
I came
Phrasing. Wow.
I came in during the Starfish project. It was about half built, and it showed up, and instantaneously, the second I got there, I was invited and with the warm hugs and was part of the family, and it was fucking awesome. The community that was there, Dame Krieger brought food. We were well fluffed. We were building this amazing art, and the first question, what did this community bring to me? And it's opened my eyes to art. So I'm working on a fucking art project. I'm not an artist. This is fucking rad.
You know we're sucking you into the one we're doing this year too, right?
You're not sucking
We loved
me in.
having
I'm
you on
coming to run
Starfish.
it.
You're coming
I'm there.
to us.
Oh, I'm all in.
Everybody sucked Frank.
Getting excited over here. So I just love the introduction. I love that I got to play with the art. I love the community that was there. I have deep-seated friends now from that. I love that we got to take it up to Playa and we burned that fucker. That was awesome. And I love being on Playa and just hearing people around us excited that this piece was there. And I had some small piece of it, and that was awesome. So that's how I got. And that was 4 years ago. I've been to Burnham a year since, been in Utopia, and I've had several volunteering and participation each year, and it's been awesome. I feel really privileged to be here.
As an addendum, that was the sturdiest fucking effigy on the planet.
Right, she would not fall. I was one of the two leads for Starfish that Ubiquitous and Ken are talking about, and she wouldn't fall. The bitch would not fall down.
She just kept burning.
She just kept burning forever.
2013.
13. And when you just said 4 years, I was like, holy shit, it's been 4 years since I burned something on ply. What the fuck?
We're burning this year too.
We're burning this year too. We're building the effect and then we're burning it down.
Yeah. Does it feel like it's been longer or shorter than 4 years?
It's shorter.
Yesterday.
I can pick up the phone with Kurt and it's the same conversations we were having in 2013.
Well, that's because that's Kurt.
But it's Kurt. And I'm leading a project with Kurt again to set on fire. I did not learn. I did learn. I learned that I fucking love working with Kurt Benedetto on art projects and I would like to do it forever, but I'm leaving to get a PhD, so that's not going to happen.
Have your priorities, girl.
I do, and this is my last art project for a while.
I came into the community around the same time as you, and
did you work on Starfish?
No.
Sorry, I don't remember.
No, it was I was in it was Utopia after Starfish. It was around that generation. But for me, the past 3 or 4 years feels like it's been like a decade.
Wow.
Of but good things. Like it's been so many experiences and growth.
It all blurs together, and it's hard to be like, oh, this happened this year, and that was over there.
Yeah.
And
massive shifts. It's just been amazing. Yeah. Hey.
Now, what sucked you off in the community?
Yeah. I would have to say Piam. No.
Oh, fuck you, Piam!
Fuck you, Piam! Let's go. No. I kind of went on hard mode right out the gates. I learned about Burning Man in 2011, and I went in 2012. I went, sorry, I keep dropping my pen, whatever. I went with Pine and a couple other people, and that was sort of my first experience. And then from there, I definitely caught the bug and started going. I immediately went to Utopia, and then I've been doing that ever since. I definitely tried to put in a good effort with the Desert Hearts kids. They're cool. It's cool. I stopped going to their parties because they don't know how to pick up the trash, but... I definitely, I don't know, what sucked me off? What sucked me off? What really sucked me off?
By the way, we're a fan of any of that kind of talk, by all means.
What really sucked me off?
How much vacuum pressure was there?
Well, I really, you want to what made me really fall in love with the local San Diego community was Electric Poncho. So I went to Poncho, and that's where I met Lisa, that's where I met Meg, that's where I met you probably, that's where I met a bunch of people, and I really think that was the official, okay, I'm going to be around these people. I like these people.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. This one, we're going to go around to everybody. Who's familiar with the 3 leadership styles? No one. Excellent. I had to explain it anyway.
I forget.
So yeah, there's authority. Well, because last year I think I asked and half the group already knew these 3 breakdowns. So there's authoritarian, autocratic. You give specific directions on what, when, and how something is to be done. Okay? Then there's participative, where you offer guidance and participate in the group and allow input. And the third is delegative or laissez-faire, offer little to no guidance and leave decision-making up to the group members. So, I guess you could just shout it out loud since it is an audio medium. Authoritarian, autocratic. Meg.
Just Meg.
Nobody else. All right. Delegative or laissez-faire? It's a little bit.
Not that one. I thought
in a perfect way.
Okay.
Somewhere between authoritative and laissez-faire. I'm going to give you specific directions on the result I want, and how you get there, I really don't care.
Okay.
For me, it's more laissez-faire and participatory. because I like to be a part of the team and lead within that. But I'm also like, I don't know, the way that I like to think of it is I like to make a plan. And then if I need to, I will completely ditch that plan. And however it happens, as long as it happens, then it happens. And
I'll completely throw out a plan. But when I go into something, it's very much a situation where I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is the timeline, and this is what I expect.
I like to think like that's gonna happen, and then swirl.
One at a time.
That's it.
Lisa, you said I'd like to think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I like to think like I'm gonna have a plan, and then I don't, and then like we come up with like a basic plan, and I usually like to do that with the group, and then because I think that participation, not just as a leader, but as with it when it comes to people that are doing something with you, that are trying to achieve a common goal. I think that everybody's input is extremely important because we have, especially in a community like this, we have so many amazingly brained people that have so much amazing stuff to offer and to bring to the table as far as ideas and abilities and skills and such, that it's kind of foolish to think that you're the only one that has a good idea about how to make a plan.
No, I absolutely agree with you on that, which is why I've never run for the board. I've turned down nominations, but because I know that I'm an authoritarian leader, I know that my leadership style does not fit with something like SDCAP. Mm-hmm. So it's actually really encouraging to me to see none of you put your hand up saying, yo, I'm totally like going to tell you how it happens. Because, that's not how it's going to work for you.
Very true. Very true.
So the general thought in the room is you guys lean between participative and delegative.
I think that really depends on the group. I believe in situational leadership. People who are really experienced and know what they're doing, I just tell them, hey, this is the goal, go fucking do it. People who are really inexperienced, I need to be more authoritative and say, this is what we're doing, and give them the steps to get it done. And people who are in the middle who can kind of get there, I just need to participate. Let's banter the ideas about, and we'll come up with a good plan and we'll get there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think everything is circumstantial, and you need to be able to understand people to understand how to delegate tasks.
Exactly.
Right. Not just the people, but the task. And the scope of the task. Like if you're talking about something small, I don't need to like sit there and watch you but like if it's a big project, I definitely need, and I just love what Lisa said, like we have brilliant people and makers in this community, and I do not presume to know how to do anything. Well, I know how to do some things, just not necessarily better. Yeah, and
that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly, and that was just, that was one of the things I learned when we were working with Wiley, because like, I just said, okay, this is what I want to build, like the end goal, and then he built something, and I just blew my mind that he saw it completely different than I did, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because part of the experience I've had as an artist, for sure, is that if you're too attached to what your end product is going to be, it's very unlikely that it'll look exactly like that. In my experience, is that how do you? Does anybody have any thoughts of that? I want to know if anybody's had the opposite experience. Like you really have an idea in your head. This is what it's going to look like. We can make it happen. Come hell or high water.
I've had that idea at the beginning, but towards about the middle point, I'm like, this is going to be cool.
I think it's good to plan for ideal circumstances, but also plan if there's a shitstorm.
Yeah. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to be agile and move and go with the flow, because a lot of times when you start out with this thing set in mind, you may not going to be there at the end.
And you're just going to stress everything.
Be the water.
And especially if you want to get to that end result, you have to find clever ways to do it.
Yeah, we definitely had that problem going on with Fort Yacht, because it was such a conceptual camp. We were a giant blanket fort camp. So we had people who wanted it to be a certain way, and it was like, hey, it's really not going to work out that way. By the end of it, we were all working together on like a simple, a like-minded oriented task, but there was a point where somebody was like, yes, I want it to look exactly like that. And it didn't work out.
Okay, well then I have a follow-up for what you guys are discussing. Don't you think, or do you think, that in some situations, especially in leadership, like on a board level, that there are going to be decisions that can't be necessarily consensus-based or input-based, where you have to make a decision either for legal reasons, financial reasons,
100%.
Personnel reasons, that don't have that kind of flexibility?
Well, that's going back to where we went with situational leadership. Is depending on what the issue is and depending on what the people is, you need to come up with the right way to respond to that. And as you're saying, there are some things that need a definitive answer, and it needs to be done now, and you need to think it out and come up with a good answer. And there's some things that, as we're talking about with planning, you absolutely have a plan, but you got to remember, we plan, God laughs. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work out that way, but it's really important to know the distinction between those and whatever the issue is.
I think true leadership attribute is being malleable. Like being somebody who has direction and has like that end goal in sight, but is able to stray from that path when sometimes there's a detour and you have to take it. And I think that a good leader is able to actually do that and not have it completely destroy their idea of what success is and how to make something happen.
I agree totally with both of you. But at the same time, you need to know your own limitations, because then you're more apt to be able to take the input from the community.
Well, that's where delegation comes in.
Yeah,
I think the right answer is really a bit of all three, and like having the wisdom to know when to implement which leadership style.
So I guess collectively then it's D, don't pigeonhole me.
I love that.
Well, with ego has a lot to do with it too. You gotta, if you can't manage your own ego, then that's problematic.
Are we talking about egotism or ego like our identification? Because we should actually clarify that.
Yeah, the common use of the word ego what most people actually mean is hubris. Ego is a very simple term. It's simply your identification of self. So if what you're talking about is hubris, the concept that you know more or you know all, that is something that can cause problems in leadership and in interactions within the community. Ego itself is not a bad word, ladies and gentlemen. Take this from the psych lady. Ego just means your own perception of self. Your ego is your idea of who you are. It has nothing to do with your outgoing behavior, your interactions with other human beings. It's how you see yourself.
Yeah, just don't inflate it and you're cool.
Yeah, ego, it's definitely got a bad rep. The word ego, like in the past, past few years, I've been hearing more and more of it because it's more of a conversation that's being had in the general public, I feel like. But I think pride is a concern that a lot of people have, and they're using the wrong word perhaps.
Yeah, well, ego, the way people use the term ego is an abbreviation of the word egotism. And a lot of people, I took psychology for a number of years in college as well. I'm nowhere near Meg's level of psychological stuff, but that's why I brought it up, is like ego is actually one of the very center points of us in our psychology. And so I think it's really important to distinguish between like the meaning of the term that you're using, because the abbreviation is definitely seen as something that can be negative because people get an inflated sense of egotism versus like their identification and who they are. And I think a lot of that stems from insecurities and such and wanting to feel better and more important or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent topic because for a leader to be able to execute proper leadership tactics, it's important that they be able to take a step back and look at their decision-making process and see, like, do I have a personal bias in this because it's making me feel better, or is this the right thing for the group? So my question is, does anybody here have, like, tactics that you actually implement in order to do that? Do you journal? Do you, Kim, you're the camp lead at Ulibaba.
Recently resigned a few weeks ago. I've passed the torch.
Exclusive.
Yes. Breaking news.
So how do you have situations where you're like, okay, is this me? Like, do I want this, but is this like better for the group? How do you consolidate those decisions? Do you just talk it out with yourself?
I talk it out with myself. I talk it out with other people within the camp whose input I value based on their particular talents, be they interpersonal or their technical expertise. Honestly, a lot of what I've done around more difficult decision making has been not jumping into action, but letting things simmer for a little bit. There are very few things in everything that we're doing that's Burning Man related that are actually urgent, that are actually emergencies. Things can feel very inflamed and very, oh my God, we need to deal with this immediately, in the next hour. But most of the time that's just not the case. So it's completely realistic and advisable to take a breather, sleep on it, see what happens, step back. Oftentimes things will self-resolve, and that has allowed me to have perspective around where do I actually need to jump in and intervene and be directive or more authoritarian versus have I delegated things to people that can work their shit out themselves versus, oh, does this situation actually not need authoritarian guidance, but maybe more hand-holding and support because it's not a technical issue, it's a human issue, and people need the warm fuzzies instead, or some other type of personal intervention. So it's a combination of a lot of things.
Right. You guys, how many? By the way, so we have how many spots are open at the board?
There are 3 spots open in this year's election. That's standard. It's a 9-person board. It's been 10 people this year because they kept someone on for an extra year because it was such a large turnover in order to have kind of a continuity of institutional knowledge for a year. That position will not be being refilled. So 3 positions will be being filled this year from this pool of 12 candidates.
I feel like last time we did this show, there was a larger percentage of the group was going to get positions.
When we did this show 2 years ago, there were 5 open slots because a couple of people had just moved, and so people were coming in and they were being elected for either a full term, which is 3 years, or they were being pulled in as a replacement for one of the slots where people had moved. Mm-hmm. So we were electing 5 people, and I think we had a pool of 10 or 11 that year. So fewer of these people will be serving on the board, but they'll be serving for a full 3-year term because we're not doing any weird replacement stuff this time.
Unless they run screaming.
Unless they run screaming, in which case then they'll be...
Which could happen.
We frown on that?
Oh no! There's popcorn!
Their term will be done if they do that.
We bring popcorn for
or if
those
they don't
events.
come back. I guess if they could come back.
Yeah. Run and scream naked all you want.
So is that the official resignation process?
Yes. It's called rage quitting. It involves tearing off your clothes and running screaming out of the collab.
That's happened to the best of us.
Some more than others.
Some people rage quit.
Some people
about every 3 months.
offenders. Yeah.
This is a question for everyone, and I want whoever is ready with an answer to just chime in. What is the place of the board in the community as far as leadership? What falls on you guys? Kim is laughing.
I think this was in watching prior year board election processes. I think one of the things that became very, very clear to me is that the scope of the board is fairly limited and it's fairly dry, and not a lot of glamour happening. So a lot of it is just fiduciary responsibility, legal accountability, kind of steering the infrastructure that allows the cool sparkly shit to happen, making sure that things are being done well, that the community is represented, that things are being funded appropriately, that kind of stuff, as well as unpleasant decision making around when things really do go off the rails in the community. Not that the board necessarily has responsibility, but anytime that anyone is in a publicly identifiable leadership position, whether you have the power to do something or not, things are going to come your way and people are going to come to you for mediation and conflict resolution and those kinds of things. And yeah, that is my basic sense of what the board does.
All right. Thoughts? Anybody else? Input?
I think that the job of the board is to direct the events that we're responsible with Utopia and Collab, and to bring the ideas, thoughts, concerns, etc. of our community to a place where they can be discussed and implemented, because we are steering the ship. We don't have a whole lot of control. Like I think Kim, as usual, is super articulate and said a lot of really great things.
She's good with words.
I know, she's good with the words.
I talk good.
She should talk good.
But yeah, so it's like, again, I keep on coming back to the ambassadors and that kind of thing. Like, we are the voice of the community. Like, I know that if I were to be elected, that my friends and the people that I interact with would feel free to tell me about stuff they want the board to discuss, and that would be my job. In my
because I've personally not witnessed this yet, but it feels like to some people there would be a fear that like the board is gonna like they're gonna censor me, or they're gonna move the direction of this thing another way. Like, that's what I want to know is, like, do you, as leaders, when you're observing something happening in the community, at what point do you think it's your job to actually step in and get involved?
If there's a pressing reason to.
Okay. What would be an example of that?
Well, are we talking about like a face-to-face situation, like we're witnessing something at Utopia, or are we talking about something like there is let's say, a Facebook thing going on where there's some defamatory things being discussed? And
let's go with Facebook then.
All right. Well,
that's a conversation about like censorship, for example, right?
Yeah, and I think that the board's position in that would be to observe, and then if something starts becoming derogatory or defamatory from a legal standpoint, I think that it would be important to step in and try to moderate, but I don't think that moderation necessarily delves into censorship, because people should be free to be able to express their opinions and the way that they feel and the way that that they view things are being run. And as a board member, I think that it's important to view that and to actually take some of that to heart and think maybe in an application kind of mindset. However, I think when things cross the threshold and become detrimental to something positive that the community is trying to do or build or whatever, I think that it would be good to step in and maybe try to steer the tone of the conversation to a different direction without telling somebody that they can or can't say something. I think that it's a good idea sometimes to come in and do damage control and maybe even say something like, okay, so we're hearing you and this is what you're saying. However, this is the intent behind it. And then to give a little bit more clarification to the mindset that went into the decision that was made or whatever is being dragged through the mud at that time. But I think that the only time that it really comes down to like where someone needs to come and try to put the kibosh on it is if like someone is being personally attacked.
Yeah. Meg?
A follow-up, and we're going to follow this down a rabbit hole for just a second if nobody minds. It has been suggested to boards in the past that one of the roles that they need to have someone who is handling is a PR person, a spin doctor, or whoever, somebody who does monitor what's being said and what's being presented. And that has traditionally been not seen as particularly important by the BOD as something that they need to be monitoring on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Because SDCAP, while it is the thing that oversees the things that we recognize as burner events in San Diego, it is not a Burning Man board of directors. Mm-hmm. It is an independent 501c3 entity whose mission statement is all about supporting burner style, burner community artists and artistry, but not necessarily about supporting Burning Man or supporting individuals. And this is an unpopular way to phrase it, Utopia is their fundraiser. That's why Utopia exists. It is the fundraiser for the San Diego Collaborative Arts Project. That's it. Yay. It's a regional event. It's rad. It's super fun. It's their fundraiser so that they can do all the other things that they do. What do you think, all of you, not just Lisa, but of the idea that the board should maybe start looking at being more PR savvy, more aware of maintaining a response presence to things that get said on Facebook? But like for example, the current discussion about I didn't know that the elections weren't elections, that they were suggestions by the community about who the board should appoint to their private board. If there was more public discussion by SDCAP on a regular basis, do you think that that kind of outward-facing communication is something maybe the SDCAP should start looking into?
Ken, let's start. Yeah.
I think it's something we should start looking into, but I think that, as you said, you made the major distinction between SDCAP and Burning Man. We should be looking at addressing the things that affect us, our 503c, whatever that is. Thank you, whatever those initials are. And the rules on this election that aren't really an election should be clear to everybody. It's how we run it as an organization, and we should be completely transparent, and everybody should understand that. Nobody should be confused at the end of the day, though, we're rigging this thing, or you guys are just making a decision. Yeah, you are making a decision. That's what we've said since day one, and everyone's known it. Things that are going on in the background, should we have a bigger presence on what's going on at Burning Man? maybe informationally, maybe out of curiosity, but it's not our role, it's not in our bylaws, it's not in our direct interest to respond to those things. It's someone else's job, and we should keep those jobs separate. We should be taking care of our own shit. And I think it's important to have that distinction, what is in our purview, and the things that aren't in our purview directly are just things of interest.
Yeah. Lisa, then.
Well, I want to echo what he said is the transparency thing, because we, SDCAP as an entity of the San Diego Burning Man community is there to largely represent what we do, whether it's financially, when it comes to funding art projects and Utopia and things like that. I think that transparency is really important because people, as much as every year the numbers are released for the budgets and everything, when it comes to collab and things, like it's all representative of the San Diego Burning Man community, and therefore I think the San Diego Burning Man community should be privy to the information that is, I feel, really important. I thought that I was kind of blindsided by the information that the community vote is advisory and that the board kind of acts as the electoral college. I was totally sideswiped by that and very surprised. So.
Okay, Ryan, then.
Well, I think moving forward, with anyone that sort of engages with social media or any institution at all, it's always putting your best foot forward is always going to have some type of PR to it as well. I mean, you can't. If everyone acts in good faith on the internet, then you don't really need any PR, right? But that's not always the case. And even just to the point of if no one actually even knows what SDCAP does, then there is no control of the narrative. So there could be a whole bunch of people that think that it's a Burning Man subsidiary or something that's very affiliated. But if you don't have anyone going out and saying, actually, we don't have anything to do with them whatsoever, we're literally just trying to fund art projects in San Diego, then maybe people don't care that the elections are actually more like suggestions, or that the suggestions are actually more like just trying to empower people in the thing, that it's not some type of large democratic institution that's being, foiled by people that with power and pulling straight from the back door. Being able to control that narrative to some degree is probably worth a lot, even if it's not, trying to take care of a bunch of, Facebook posts that could be getting nasty, or taking care of a bunch of trolls or something. I mean, you want to have some type of strategy to handle that. Otherwise, someone that may not have the best intentions is going to control that for you.
Yeah. Cass?
Well, what I wanted to say is, the San Diego Collaborative Arts Project is a 501c3 corporation, and it is filed under the laws of the state of California. And in doing that, you have to file legal papers, one of which are articles of incorporation. And also, corporations have what they call bylaws. And those are basically the rules and guidelines that the corporation follows. And all of that information is a public record. It's also a public record on the SDCAP website. So when it comes to talking of the comments about transparency, what's transparency? All of that information is there on the SDCAP website. Every single person in this room can go and read the bylaws, the articles of incorporation, the minutes of our meetings, and many other things. So is it the board's responsibility to educate each and every person that of information that's already out there publicly? And in that, I would ask the candidates here, have any of you gone to SDCAP website and read the information, looked at the bylaws and things like that? Because it's not a matter of just deciding that it's not an election, but those are in our bylaws.
Yeah, cool. Kim, exactly.
I have a few different points. I'm trying to think of how to organize them. So I guess first, I think it's important. I always thought it was weird that there was an open election, because I've never experienced any other nonprofit or business or other type of organization like this that would be run democratically. So I guess I didn't realize that it was an advisory vote, but I also wasn't surprised to learn it. And I mean, quite frankly, I think it makes more sense to have it be an advisory vote where community feedback is incorporated into the decision making. I think it's really important for people on the board to understand that it is not a democracy, and to understand how boards work and organizational structures and things like that from a lot of different angles. And then I think the next step out from there is, as a board, understanding that there's really widespread misperception within our community that it is a democracy, and that everyone in the community feels very deeply and very passionately about the community and feels a sense of ownership, and people feel a sense of entitlement. And they're not necessarily wrong to feel those things, but then it becomes, I think, the board's responsibility to do that PR piece to help people to understand this is what the board does, this is the scope of its power and influence, this is how we're accountable to you based on the things that Cassie was saying. These are the things that we're not accountable to you for, because we're ultimately accountable to the board in the state of California and funding entities and things like that. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for PR in the form of education so that people have a better understanding, so that then people don't get upset when we find out things that feel like they're coming out of left field. And I think the PR question is an interesting one, especially when we're talking about social media, because it would make sense to have there be some sort of unified voice. It shouldn't, in theory, be board members just jumping in to speak on behalf of the board. So it would require something, if that was decided that was a priority, someone who is the designated spokesperson, who's empowered to speak on behalf of the board and make those kind of general statements to the community.
And I think that's really important, because if you leave it up to public perception and you don't have somebody that is representative of the board, then a lot of, like you used the term earlier, spin doctors come out of the woodworks and they start talking shit. And then the board is kind of left in this perception that may or may not be accurate. And community perception has a lot to do with the way things go within a community. And I think that it's really important, to go back to the term of transparency and everything, that there would be somebody that is able to speak on that behalf in more of an official capacity than just everybody kind of coming up with these legends and rumors and things that may or may not be
my
true.
friend said. For those of you who were confused real quick, while Kim was talking and I was doing this thing with my hands, radio listeners, I'm doing a visual thing. This waving fingers thing is a thing that happens when you completely agree with somebody, but you don't want to slow down the meeting, but you want to support exactly what the fuck they're saying. It happens a lot at the SDCAP meetings where
looks like
somebody,
jazz hands.
It's jazz hands. Somebody will say something and you'll see like 5 people like, and it's just like, okay, all those people are there, and that person said what they wanted to say. Yeah. And Arash, I'm sorry, but I'd now like to listen to Kim Eisenberg talk forever, and not you.
I know. I don't blame you. I'd rather hear her talk forever too. Marie. Yeah.
I just wanted to add a point to what Lisa and Kim said, and basically, I think that there needs to be like maybe a tag thing on the San Diego burner page or whatever page you would pick that would say, hey, SDCAP.org, is it org? Okay. SDCAP.org has everything on there just for an information, because I knew about it, but I don't think many people do, and they need to read this stuff, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I agree with everything you guys are saying. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but you do need to shove it in their face every once in a while so they can't say,
Yeah, if people read the website and then they have questions, then that would be the role of the PR person to give an answer.
But I believe the website is on the Facebook page as well.
So. Yeah. On which one?
So basically, just
that's a good point.
Guys.
Everything, all of the things, it's all coming down to this. Like, yeah, I think we've mentioned transparency, but there is transparency. Like Cass said, all of the information that people get riled up about is on the page. I've gone to it. I've looked at it. I sometimes read it. I sometimes don't, because it's boring as fuck. But
I read some of that stuff, but I know how.
No, because I get excited. I'm like, oh, the minutes of the last board meeting, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to read that. So I think that. Not that
they're more fun in person, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
This is amusing, by the way, because what you guys are describing is basically the problem that we have with, society in general.
Yeah. Strangely enough, burners are people and have the same problems as other people.
Easy there.
We have multiple problems. That's crazy. So it seems to me that it would be important to further the mission and to improve clarity and communication, to have a point person to
streamline the process.
Yeah, not necessarily because
Ew, I don't want to do that. But like to be the unified voice, like the mouthpiece.
Mm.
You know, mouthpiece.
Got a pretty mouthpiece.
We need a pretty mouthpiece.
Why do we call it elections?
Yeah,
because
question.
I personally can tell you that I and we talked about this at one of the board meetings, that I don't like that word, but I don't know what other word would be it.
3 years.
Appointment,
4 years.
We even changed some of the words because of that. Yeah.
This is the second year I haven't been the elections proctor. So 5 years ago, when I started as the elections proctor, I asked that question. Camber, who was the person who trained me to run the SDCAP elections, we called them elections for the same reason we call the town hall, because those are words that people are familiar with. If you call it a straw poll, people don't know what the hell that means and they don't show up. If you call it an advisory report, that sounds like work that we're asking you to do and nobody does it. I agree and have agreed for several years that elections is a bad term because it doesn't reflect what's actually happening, and that's never been what actually happens. It's always been an advisory report where they collect information from the community and then the BOD looks at...
I think Derek's opening the door and Martin's here.
Thank you. Martin's arriving late. And
Martin is here.
Sorry.
Hey.
It's not an election, and it's never been an election. It's not even the...
Let's pause for a second.
Yeah, there's a lot of chair moving now.
Everyone drag their chair. Maximum.
Okay, we can fix this in post.
Yeah. Scrape that shit out.
Alright, so the sounds that you guys are all hearing, Martin has joined us.
Yay! The fact of the matter is it has never been anything but an advisory. Even before the 501c3 was in place, it was still the board of directors, which is a private organization, not a public organization, gathering information from the community that they work with, not serve, work with, about who they would like to see help work towards those community goals. That's how it was described to me when I first started running the elections.
Right. Now, how often in you guys' experience does the board stray dramatically away from what the popular vote is?
I have seen it happen twice in 5 years.
And I haven't, because I've not been part of those inner workings. But I also wanted to add to the whole kind of transparency conversation and why we call them elections or not, is the current sitting board, we really wanted to make it more, I don't know if the word's transparent, but we wanted to communicate that concept more, and that's one of the reasons why it's probably become a little bit more topic of discussion, and the way we were being public facing as far as being on Facebook and how we're writing things, because we wanted to make it even more clear than perhaps it had been made in the past.
Right. Are the numbers public? Who gets how many votes?
No.
That's probably for the better.
No. Yeah. Because ultimately it doesn't matter. If, for instance, let's say, and because there are always specific skill sets that the board needs somebody with. So let's say it turns out that Martin is made of gold and can shave off his skin and fund the organization.
Yeah, he
could get 0 votes and still be on the board. Because we need that particular skill set.
We need gold skin. No, I understand that completely.
Last year we had 2 years ago? When the fuck were you elected? Yeah.
Oh, last year.
Okay. Last year we had 2 people who have legal backgrounds who ran for the board, and they both got a larger percentage of votes than other candidates. But even if they had not, at least one of them would have been appointed to the board because the board desperately needed a legal representative.
So just to round it up here for listeners, the way it works is the votes don't become public, and the board will make a decision, and they will look at everybody's input. Now, I guess the question is, for any of you who may be elected to the board, do you believe that tradition should continue? Marie?
I do. I wholeheartedly think that it should go that way, because unfortunately there are some personalities out there that just do not work on a board setting. Like Megan said earlier, if you're the type of person that you're better at working by yourself than with groups of people.
I would be a horrible board member.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not saying you personally.
That's what I was hearing.
Cassie gave me jazz hands.
I like the democratic part of it. I was on another board at SDCAP and another nonprofit, and they don't even have. I wish they did it the way that we do it here. They have the members vote, and that's who's on. There is no, oh my God, you voted that person to be that, and then they pay for it later with the BORED meetings, because their meetings are not as streamlined and as easy to follow as I think the SDCAP.
Non sequitur, really fast. Cable, who is on our board of directors, has a T-shirt that he wears to board meetings, and it's a flaccid penis, and it says board member, BORED. It's my favorite board shirt.
There was some movement here. Somebody wanted to chime in?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement that we should keep the rules as they are. I think Meg's example is perfect. We needed a lawyer or a legal mind. When you need that, that's what we needed. It shouldn't become a popularity contest where the cool kid wins.
Right.
We fucking need a legal mind.
Yeah.
So I think that this allows us to get what the board needs, and we're trusting the board to run this whole organization through the year. We should be trusting this board to choose the following leaders that are just going to continue that tradition strongly.
Okay. Does anybody disagree?
I think there should be another name for it than election.
Okay.
But other than that,
The advisory thing has
itself
got to be in there.
I can't remember what it was, but around the same time as there was an election, there was also there were some new RC slots open a couple years ago, and I know that I've participated in both, and it was very clear to me that the RC thing was not an elected position, but that the org wanted feedback from the community about the people that were being nominated to be the new RCs.
You're being Burning Man organization, not
right.
San Diego.
Yes, sorry. But yes, and so whatever it was about that process, and then very closely on the heels of it came the election, in quotes, that you can't see if you're listening. Yeah, those two seemed like very distinctly different things to me in terms of how those processes worked. And so whatever the RC thing was, that was clear that it was my feedback, that I could cast a ballot, but that it was to be taken into consideration. So,
it was called community feedback.
Okay.
Well,
maybe it's just that then.
No.
I did
probably, but I don't.
Yeah,
It was really awesome too.
Yeah, well, I mean, we spent like the whole 20 or 30 minutes ago talking about how we need to have a really flexible thing that was supposed to be adapted to the problems at hand and the resources that you have available. And you don't need exactly this thing; you need a combination of all these. So clearly, a democratically elected thing for a private board isn't really the best way to do it. So I mean, this is just an extension of that.
Right.
It seems like that to me anyway.
Martin, if you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? You weren't here for that part of the conversation.
I was not here for that. Probably be tofu or something obscure like that.
Oh.
Well, it's like a complete, I don't know, allegedly a complete protein, or maybe it'd be banana.
Oh, you just say tacos.
Say banana! Don't say bananas too! Yay, bananas!
I was thinking you were going to say that.
Like
and then
Bananas is a very logical choice.
They're banana twins!
I have one thing to add to the end of it, and then I hope we're going to move on. A couple of weeks ago, when I first heard the term advisory election thing from attending the SDCAP board meeting and hearing about that, I strongly disagreed. But in some of the transparency that I've experienced today, that has actually swayed my mindset. Now that I am more informed about it, it makes a lot more sense that we would have that be more of an advisory thing, and then the best, whatever happens in the best interests of the community and what the board actually does, like we would, like in your instance where it was like we needed a legal advisor, having someone from legal, that's good.
Go ahead and say that this podcast is now officially a success because one person has been swayed in a direction based on a conversation.
Now ask something lame.
Yeah.
Can we lighten this up a little bit?
Right? This got all kinds of serious.
Supposed to be
Can we
fun.
go back to fun?
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's the board. No wonder it's not fun.
Yeah, you've been sucking at comic relief so far, by the way.
I
because
know.
all your input has been very valuable and needed and important.
I know.
So thank you for all that. But
It's general suckage. That's all.
okay, this goes for everybody. 2 minutes or less. Describe one new project you would like to see in our community. So let's start with Kim.
No.
Okay, let's go, Marie.
I love that we're getting this other.
We're not.
No.
Oh.
No.
Never mind.
Don't talk about that.
Fuck.
Okay. Rewind. Okay. I would really like to go into making another piece of art like the man that Wiley, Don, Brock and Cindy did. I'm just giving all four names because I don't know which ones. Anyway, I think another one of those type of art projects would be really cool, and I saw somebody talk about getting together with Balboa Park or, outside things. I think our art should be elsewhere, and I'd like to work on that.
Hayden?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, you know what, I will, and Kim's gonna go, and then you're gonna go.
Sure.
So, 2 minutes or less, describe a new project that you would like to see in the community.
I don't actually know what the project looks like, but I would like to be a part of expanding how we define and operationalize art. I think that the go-to that most of us have, myself included, is visual. We're building installations, we're building physical projects that exist in space, and I would like there to be more burner, whether it's performance or experiential or other types of stuff. I don't personally identify as an artist and a maker and a builder. I'm in it much more for the facilitation and activities and experience side of things, and not that I want that to overtake the visual side of stuff, but I feel like there's a real deficit of that in the community, so I'd like to see that happening also in addition to the more kind of traditional installations and things that we think about.
Yeah.
So I personally want to make a small fleet of tricycles that have mountain goat heads fixed to them.
Oh my god, I love you.
And they pick up trash as you bike past
Oh
people.
my god.
Yes. Fucking love you, dude.
So that's the exact idea that I
Yeah.
So specific too.
So I want to have 2 little carriers on the back so people you can go to the party and you can be like, it's cool, dude. I'll take a can for you. Go recycle it. It's cool. Do what you need. But the idea is that it would have 2 little trash pickers, and you would be rolling with a fleet of them, so you could all be on
And maybe have bullhorns where you can
Yeah, sure.
for sure.
Well, bullhorns are a requirement.
So we can tell our PR.
Martin, 2 minutes or less, a new project you like to see.
Oh, my turn already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just an engineer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's a sound engineer. He's not very important.
Oh, okay, I get it.
His opinion only matters for comic relief.
Well, I was going to go with more traditional installation. Maybe talk with the city about putting something in Balboa Park and have something like burner-esque at the Balboa Park. And I know that people have probably attempted this already, but I think there should be a constant effort of trying to get the city involved or to authorize us to make a permanent burner-type installation for the Balboa Park.
Yeah, that's cool. Could it be? Because we have cities.
There's more park than Balboa.
Yeah. There's various cities that have.
just Balboa Park.
Well, we could definitely go to one of the outlying parks.
Yeah.
To, as a starter project.
Yeah, various
they
cities.
have a park they use for archery that's kind of in Balboa Park, but it's not the official part of Balboa Park. I mean, it is part of Balboa Park, but it's not part of where a lot of the tourists go. That'd be a great place to go.
Yeah, we should build something right in the middle of the archery field. It'd be hilarious.
Oh my god, yes.
Arrows in it and everything.
That was exactly my idea.
Just build it.
Like just turn it, it's like mini golf. But
Mini archery. Archeryette.
Ken.
Wow, that's kind of hard to follow, but for me, my answer before is what brought me into this community. What I loved was Starfish and an epic project that I got to help with. I'd like to see that again. I'm excited that Kurt and others are putting one together. I'm going to be able to help with. I'm excited that we have the lighted circle, whatever that thing's called again.
The Journey.
Journey, thank you. I'm excited those are coming. In terms of some other things, I'd like that Jim
And they're
Robb-
both being built at CoLab.
Yes, CoLab, little plug there. I love Jim Robb's idea on the Facebook answer about getting art in the community that we've talked a little bit about here. I have some ideas on that also that I think we should and could be doing. So I think it's a little bit of all that. I also like someone who spoke earlier, was that you, Marie, who talked about other things than just the traditional art we're doing. I think it's a great opportunity to branch out. I'm sorry, was it Kim?
Yeah, it was Kim.
My
I'll take
apologies.
credit for it.
Yeah, we should give the words too. Anyway, so there's a lot of great opportunity for art. I think there's also some opportunity for things that we don't see as art, such as in our community we have these big SDCAP boxes that were traditionally gray. but now they're great art pieces. I think we could do some other things like that, either get smart boxes for ourselves. I think that we could put in art benches that could be both useful for people who want to sit, but also make them a little more artistic than just a bench.
Yeah.
So I think there's opportunity in the community to see things with a little bit different slant that we're able to bring. That's one of our strengths as a community.
Yeah. This guy said he was an introvert.
I know, I'm not. You're like answering questions like a pro there, kid.
Introversion and social anxiety are not the same thing.
Dawn.
Like most people have said before me, I really loved like this past year seeing our burner art out in the world at Balboa Park for Maker's Fair with the temple and Miniman and Cabina Exuro getting displayed in some other venue that I'm not remembering right now.
Art San Diego.
Thank you. And I'd just like to see more of that. I mean, we spend so much time and effort. Like, there's so much love and creativity and good juiciness that goes into these projects that I feel like it's a shame to not share them. And that's, in my understanding, the mission of the board is to bring our burner-inspired, themed, principle-oriented art, out into the world.
So to clarify, so the project that you want to see is more of our projects getting installed outside of our specific community.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we're on that topic here. Mo.
More of the art out in the city.
Okay.
More live installations, performance pieces.
The Eyes of Krondor as streetlights?
Yes, yeah. It should
Build more streets.
Although you can do that because,
they're a bitch.
That project.
Lisa?
Yeah, I think everybody kind of said most of what I want to say. I think involving the community in our burner-based art is something that I would like to strive for. I think it would be really cool to have more community interactions and bring more, especially children, young people, into our community and give them a mindset or an idea of this mindset where it's okay to be weird and different and make things that someone at like Boca would look at and be like, that is pedantic, and we're like, this is the greatest thing ever!
While also being responsible.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think that it's really, echoing what I said earlier, like, what brought me into the community and, like, made me fall in love with it was, like, finding my voice and finally feeling like I fit in somewhere, and I think bringing younger people into that mindset, like, my daughter's really lucky. She got to be raised around this kind of stuff.
Mine
but
too.
not all kids are, and I didn't find it until I was, like, 26. Now I'm getting to be a kid again. So I think bringing young people, especially like high schools, and having community-based art projects like what's going on in Azalea Park with the benches and things like what Ken was talking about, making them mosaics and like putting up shade structures at canyon mouths and stuff. I think that it would be really fun to fund projects like that and to really involve people that aren't just our friends.
Can I just add one thing? I think we should make, like all bus stops don't have a place for you to sit your butt on. That would be fun.
Yeah, benches.
Not all bus stops, but like pick areas where, like an OB, pick
all
an
bus
area.
stop lives matter, okay?
I want to sit down
Arash, for Kim, we're at that 2 o'clock
Yeah,
mark
that's
that
2
she
o'clock.
needs. And Casa also.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I was gonna hang in for like another 2 minutes, but
Okay,
I can
so
go,
you can stay for 2 minutes. All right.
Just out of here.
Hey, Erica.
No, she's leaving. All right. So everybody, wave goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Kim. Bye, Casa. Thank
More
you.
chair movements.
More chair noises for Freckles to deal with later.
So we fix in post.
And here's chocolate for you guys.
Oh my god.
Thanks, Cass.
Is it made out of beer?
All right.
It's got whiskey in it.
Does it?
Fabulous.
Doesn't she ever?
I know.
Oh, throw that shit out. It's time for some sugar.
That's not the right sugar I want here.
Okay. All right, guys.
All right, bring it back.
I'm gonna split the group in half right here between Ken and Martin. Okay. So this is now group 1 and this is group 2.
No, I'm seriously distributing chocolate. Just chill.
Welcome to Facebook.
Let's wait till the chocolate is distributed.
Really? That'll take me a minute.
It's okay.
I think we should just stop it with the chocolate because we're going to hear a lot of munching and
The chocolate's happening.
All right. Well, the M&Ms aren't getting any further than that.
Fuck yes, they are.
Oh, never mind.
Marie's like, fuck that. I'll get some.
Marie's like, fuck you.
I want chocolate.
Sorry. The ambiance sound is actually completely fine. It's
Oh, okay. Well, then here, create the lunch.
What about open mouth chewing?
This is exactly
That's
the
nasty, Hayden.
So we're one.
That's a condenser mic that'll pick up everything.
Yeah, this is exactly the part that I
Is
love
that
about this.
chocolate grass-fed and sustainably raised? That's what I really want to know.
It's exactly the part that I love is people can listen to this show and feel like they're hanging out with a bunch of their friends. So
Sweet.
Today on Radical Self-Entitlement.
Did you know that chocolate resonates with the same octave as the sun?
Yeah. David Avocado.
David Avocado Wolf.
Fuck that.
You know, I was lost.
I believe it. Well, it's also, you know.
Yeah.
Wait. There was a book on the table. Is the book still on the table? I just want to read the title of the book.
It's well.
The Holy Bible.
No.
All right. So group one, which is this side here. Personal question. Yes, that's right. You guys. Tell us about your ideal day. What would it involve and why?
Oh, jeez.
No. It's like the perfect day. You wake up. How does it go? Ken.
Backpacking, I wake up outside or in the tent. I get to go out, open the door, and I see nothing man-made other than what I brought. Just trees and rivers and rocks and dirt and cool shit like that. I get to hike with friends. Amazing scenic stuff, maybe in the Sierra somewhere. Campfire at night, eating some good grub. Stay up late, drinking and laughing, and hit the bed hard. Do it again tomorrow.
Nice. Don?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
See, this is the problem with chocolate.
No.
So, no, I was a hardcore advocate of the chocolate, so I'm gonna go. My ideal day would involve exercise or some sort of movement, some sort of like creating or making something happen, either like physically with my hands, like retiling a bathroom, or writing an essay, and moving. I usually try to get three things that move my life forward done a day. So it's part of my little. And
3 things a day, yeah.
3 things a day, and it doesn't matter what they are, but they have to move different areas forward, and that doesn't include the maintaining the well-being, but like exercise and food and that. So yeah, and spending time with loved ones, wine. Yeah, wine.
Mom?
Red and white.
Hanging out with all my favorite people at a bar while all my favorite bands are playing. I tend to do that quite often, so yeah.
Good days.
A lot of perfect days.
Yeah, a lot of perfect days.
Lisa?
That's so cute.
That question's really hard for me to answer because it kind of depends on what happened the night before.
But ideally.
Well, ideally, like, it depends on what happened the night before, because I wake up every day and, like, my day is going to be different, because I don't lead, like, a very, like, normal lifestyle. I don't know, like, if I drank the night before, or, like, a couple days ago, fell down a set of stairs and, like, possibly broke a finger and have bruises all up the right side of my body, my ideal day is laying in bed all day and having someone cook for me. But, you know, on a normal day where I, like, got some sleep and didn't fall downstairs and stuff, like, I don't know, I like to be out and about. Nature is definitely one of my favorite things about this life, and so my ideal day would definitely involve some friends or even being solo and doing something outdoors, like what Ken said. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. Or, you know, sometimes it's raining and my ideal day is sitting at home and painting and hanging out with my dog. Lots of different ideal things for me to do, and I enjoy a lot of them. So.
Group 2. How do you prioritize your to-do list? What takes priority? How do you decide what you're going to get done?
Write shit down.
Which one has your...
Write shit down? That's the answer?
No, I don't want to.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I go with what Hayden does. I write it down, and then I kind of figure out an order. I never write it down in order because that's too easy. But I go through and I do whatever I can do that's going to be fast, or try to do like-minded things and try to cross everything off on my list that day. Or bring it to the next day if it doesn't get crossed off.
Yeah.
In terms of prioritizing, I like to do the hard stuff first. Usually, always. I like to hit the easy stuff at the end of the day when I'm calming down. It's usually start early, work hard until you get the bullshit out of the way.
Yeah. Then reward yourself with the easier things.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Here, that's what I'm
hopefully.
Martin?
Okay, so borrowing from a few other points, I like to write things down, prioritize, have a priority list in my mind, and you have to pick when you're better at doing stuff. So, like, if you're a morning person, then like Hayden said, do stuff in the morning, the hard stuff in the morning, and you do the easy stuff later. Or you figure out what's the most important thing that you have to do that's going to be the most time intensive and try to get that done first, presumably assuming that you're better at doing that kind of stuff in the morning. Some people are evening people, so then you wait till the evening to do. I'm more of a morning person, so I try to get the hard stuff done in the morning.
I changed my answer to exactly that.
I was having this
Mine is the
conversation-
morning person
I was having
part.
this conversation with somebody about how, like, the only reason that I'll like drink is because the world is on a certain schedule that doesn't follow my personal schedule. So on a Friday night, I need to like let loose, and that's when I'm going to start doing things. But if it was up to me to just party whenever I wanted to, I could be like hyped on a Tuesday at like 10 a.m. If the party was just like bust open right there, yeah. No.
Wait, what day is today?
Tuesday, 10 a.m. I think.
Tuesday, 10 a.m.
Let's
Let's start a party.
Still yesterday.
All right, I'm gonna go through everybody with this one in 2 minutes or less. If you could change one thing about burner culture or our local community, what would it be?
Me?
Well, we can start with Hayes.
Go ahead.
He's got one.
Glitter.
Yes.
I don't know.
Get rid of it.
Explain.
It's the herpes of the everything world. It gets stuck to it's move. It's fucking move. It's super move. It's
super move.
I'd like to point out that herpes is herpes and glitter is small mylar cut up into small pieces. It is just as annoying.
Sorry to a little pedantic.
Okay.
Oh, I forget. I have the full list of candidates, by the way.
Oh, beautiful.
That we didn't have at the beginning.
Yeah, I gave you the missing. I gave you the missing link. You're good.
No, we're missing more than one.
Also, weird poops in weird places. Don't do that.
No poops and peeps.
I would say, well, glitter is really annoying, but I wouldn't change anything about our burner culture because I feel like ever since Marty introduced me to this community in 2010, it's family to me. And I see little... twinges, things that we can change, but nothing like overwhelming big and get rid of the egos. That'd be nice.
The egotism.
The egotisms. Because we all got egos.
An ego is a necessary construct within your mental brain. Okay, fine.
Isms aren't really that good.
Thanks, man.
I love you, Big.
Martin?
So, I think Maria alluded to this a little bit with the ego thing. I think that in my experience in the last year or the last few months or years, some people, and I won't mention names, but take things personally. It's like, if there's a disagreement about how we're going to spend money, or there's a disagreement about how we should approach a particular challenge or issue, some people feel like if you disagree with them, there's a personal difference of opinion, and I might just become from a place of, I think this is this idea, and I don't care if my best friend disagrees with me, we can still be friends. Like the politicians would say, you can disagree without being disagreeable. So like even like Tip, it's probably historical that some people don't understand, but
yeah,
like Tip O'Neill, he was a very adamant Democrat, but he got along with everybody. There are like Joe Biden, he gets along with everybody, even Republicans.
Yeah.
And you can do that. So that's just so we would, so my ideal burner community, if it was going to be changed at all, would be people that I disagree with don't take it personally and don't feel like I'm the a-hole or whatever because I disagree with them. I just disagree with you. You're still a great guy.
But you're one.
But
Stop kidding, butthurt.
No, I mean, that's something we kind of want in general society, though, don't we?
Yeah,
right?
totally. That's an internet thing. For sure.
And general society needs to change in that way.
Yeah. What is something that you could change? One thing about burner community or our local community, Ken, that you would change if you could?
I'm totally good with the ego, but I think we need to do something about everybody's id.
I
love you.
It is absolutely disgusting.
No, that's just the id talking.
My id has
I love
a
this
very different
community.
voice than my ego.
I really have no big issues. If there is, I take it up with someone individually. So I'm going to go with the answer to nothing. I think we fucking rock.
That's good. All right, Maurice, cheer for that one. Dawn?
If I could change something about our burner community, no, I don't
My first answer was going to be to have people be more accountable and more responsible. There's a lot of flakiness that happens in this community, which makes it hard.
So many jazz hands.
So just a clarification: more flakiness here than like general society.
Yeah.
Okay. Not other.
And more flaky. I mean, okay, so there's more flakiness in Southern California than there is in other parts of the country.
That's true.
And then there's more flakiness in the burner community than there is in the default. So it's like just crazy over here.
So does anybody show up to any event?
Like if there's booze, yeah. But no. So
Like, I can tell you as an event planner, previous event planner, getting people to RSVP to an event in San Diego is like pulling fucking teeth.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's chill. I might go. It's cool. It's whatever. I might be at the beach or whatever.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Maybe
I might, like, who's gonna, you know?
And then some people put maybe on every single event and never show up.
I do not put maybe on every single event.
Yes, you do.
Now they've downplayed it.
That's
Now
what
it's
made
like-
you sure. There are some events that he just said yes.
Yeah. Ken.
I was gonna say, do you think we're more flaky in this group than any other volunteer-run organization? Every volunteer organization I've ever dealt with is just fucked up.
Yeah, I
agree. You just gotta love it. Wrap your arms around it. Go with it.
When I became a burner, I just adapted my previous knowledge of pagan time and called it burner time. Is it like like if you're in a group of people who are basically socially minded with some other shit that the meeting start times and maybe I'm going to show up for our networking meeting and our fluid.
For sure. I was late today and I wasn't.
Good for you.
I was late today and I was concerned about it and I felt bad and I got here and it was just as I assumed it was going to be.
We were all standing outside having a
Everyone
cigarette.
was sitting outside having a cigarette and I was like, oh, perfect. It's just how I thought I was going to walk in. But I was still making myself bad and wrong for being late.
I do it.
That's me.
I do it all the time.
I know.
I, for one, would say you should still continue to do that and still attempt to be on time.
Yeah, you attempt. Oh, I'm like making myself bad and wrong. I shouldn't do that. No.
Totally. Judge yourself.
I think just one more thing to note is like, at least for me personally, I have to consider the value of this community because it is so good, it is so thorough. Everybody kicks so much fucking ass that I want to be a part of it. And in most party scenarios at all, or any grand effort to try and pull anything together, I've never worked or played with people that pull it together harder than what we do. San Diego kids kill it right now.
You dig it?
It does.
Well,
It often gets pulled out.
Well, if there's one thing you could change about our burner community, what would it be?
I'm gonna have to go with less glitter.
Less glitter.
Yes. We're running a campaign.
Glitter. Lisa's also glitter.
Oh, no, I'm disagreeing. I have something actually to add. I would remove the stigma surrounding my camp. Yes. Because people are legitimately scared of us. And
Don't be scared of the miscreants!
Actually, we're like some of the more welcoming people when it really comes down to it, unless you like act outside of the laws of consent. Like if you start touching our girls or if you start like hitting people and stuff and like it's not consensual, then we have a problem with it, we deal with it. But like really,
Can we
like
touch your boys?
even
Or if we ask you more than 3 times,
you can
I'll
touch
ask
my
you 3
boys
times.
all you want. Boys. Yeah, you can touch my boys as long as they're okay with it.
3 times.
But yeah, no, I think it's really, I think that like while we are one of the more accepting communities as the San Diego Burning Man communities, I think that our camp is actually very, very judged. And probably rightfully so, because alcohol and yelling is kind of our theme. But that scares people off. But I think that people need to give us a little bit more of a chance because we're actually a group of some really fucking cool people.
We do love you. Come to the bar and hang out.
I've actually seen more people step up and volunteer hard out of miscreants and backcountry than almost any other single camp. Like, for real. Those guys, like, yeah, you guys have a fucking reputation, and I actually love your reputation. I think that the reputation of, like,
Sparkle.
you greet people by saying fuck off.
Which also means we love you.
Yeah, shut up means I love
That's
you.
the fucking, that's the fucking best to me.
Not me. You're not it.
If you come to the bar, don't ask me to surprise you.
Yeah, don't ask me. Yeah, do not ask me for whatever I want to make you.
Yeah, bad idea.
And then you'll like us.
Because what I want to make you
I
is
think I got
fried.
dirt and ash in my drink the last time I asked for that.
And fake blood probably too. Yeah, you don't say whatever you want.
I would add to that. I'm personally biased, of course. That I've definitely met certain corners of our general community, not just in San Diego, that are definitely a lot more exclusive than. And by the word exclusive, I mean like standoffish, like you're not welcome in our circle. Than the reputation that miscreants have. So I fully agree with that. That you guys are very open and welcoming, and everybody's invited.
Yeah, we're like
we're
the dredges of society as people. So we can't really look at you and be like, you aren't welcome.
I will judge you.
Unless you act outside the laws of consent. Really, that's like our line. That's about it.
One thing that I think is really important to note also is that a lot of times, like, there are circumstances that require uncomfortable moves or difficult to make decisions, and like through and through, all the miscreant and backcountry kids that I've ever hung out with know and can make a difficult decision at a moment's notice, and it is the right decision more often than not, and things get handled, problems get circumvented easily,
and then we drink a beer about it.
Yeah. Right. And if you weren't too much of a prick, we'll ask you to come back and drink a beer with us.
Yeah, totally.
True fact.
And that was the miscreant sideline of today's episode. All right.
You asked.
Yes.
Hey, no, I think it's actually really valid because it is something that has been asked and talked about in this election cycle.
Yeah, if we're such this like weird perceived thing, then I think it needs to be talked about because I don't know. I haven't.
Well, y'all are my best friends, so you know I'm talking positive about you.
Well, yeah, but I don't care if anyone talks positive or negative. I just think that people need to experience it.
One thing what I was going to say is I think it's important to note that, like, not everybody is the type of person that makes those decisions, and we just so happen to have a whole shitload of them.
Yeah.
All right, so for the next set of questions, I'm just going to point at random people here, and you're going to try to give that answer in about 3 minutes or so. And these are a little bit more serious. Ken, what is your stance on paid positions and why?
In Burning Man or in life in general?
In our local community.
In our community and within our own.
Locally, I'm pretty much against that. I think volunteer-based is the way it should and could run, and I think that's how we are, if it's not positive. I think in the bigger community, although you told me not to answer this, I'm wasting time, as I think.
Okay.
I mean, we need somebody to set up Burning Man, we need someone to build a temple and set up a community that's a lot more than you can expect out of a volunteer position. Those need to be paid. I think locally, we're pretty small. I'd like to see us stay that way in terms of grand picture. And I think, I said before what I liked about what I wanted to change was nothing. We're a fucking awesome community. Is that we've got people that step up and do shit. We don't need to pay them. People do that out of it's a privilege to give. And I think that I wouldn't want people to lose that opportunity. How's that for some serious bullshit?
a lot of jazz hands. You had something to add to that?
Oh, no, I agree with Ken. I think that paying management, like the board or people that are in management positions that are in the capacity where they could vote themselves a raise or they could do things like that, I think that's a slippery slope that we should avoid. But I know that we pay High Rock, and that's something I wouldn't want to see.
That's substantially different. That has been discussed at the board level, by the way. High Rock is a paid contractor that we have to hire contractually in order to utilize the site that we have for Utopia. It is required. We have to have that.
I'm saying that, for instance, I agree that we pay.
We also pay our medical team.
What's that?
We also pay our medical team.
Yeah, I think we need to have some kind of expertise, and they make a huge sacrifice, and I know some of the people on medical, and I think they deserve to be paid for the kind of sacrifice they make. But I think that should be a board decision, and the board shouldn't be in a position to tell themselves that they're going to get a raise or they're going to get remuneration, because then I don't think the community can afford something like that.
Right. Hayden?
I personally think that the quality of work that comes out of volunteering is always better than that of what is paid to people that are in low positions. So like we were talking about, say for like, high up positions, managers, blah, 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 blah. But I really think that the caliber that comes out of like hardcore, top-notch volunteering is really what does it. It's really what makes it. I don't think paid positions should be offered as any means as an incentive, like at all. I think you should want to give a shit.
Shout out to Wolftag.
Dawn, when is a closed-door meeting justified?
When you're discussing something that could affect somebody's reputation basically, outside of that. I mean, like, I know that there's a lot of, we're an intimate community and there's a lot of knowledge and shared experience, but, and I think that I've experienced this kind of like mystery kind of thing on the other side of a closed door board meeting where there's a lot of cryptic things being said. I have no idea what's going on. I know something went on and they're not allowed to talk about it. And I think that's appropriate because I don't need to know other people's business.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's for sure times that people that should have closed door meetings and people's privacy should be respected.
Mo, what do you feel are the basic requirements of representing the San Diego community?
Having knowledge of what the community does, what the board does, what SDCAP does, what Utopia does, just a general knowledge and the ability to work with other people and to get your point across, but also be able to work with other people.
Hayden, how can the board best communicate with the community at large?
Oh shit, okay.
It's like, fuck, he's asking questions now.
No, how can the board best communicate with the community at large?
I have a stopwatch going.
No, I think that if, as a whole, I mean, well, that's really hard to say. I mean, are we talking,
It can be any sort of answer that comes to mind.
Smoke signals.
Yeah. MySpace.
In an ideal world, I think that you could do things without even actually talking or speaking, and if you actually gave a shit, you understand what was going on. But I do think that that really shouldn't even be a problem.
Being able to communicate to the community?
No, it's not. I don't think there is a problem with communicating to the community at all. Like, I think that there's so many outlets for people to be able to convey the larger picture or whatever it may be that there's no shortage of resources there.
Okay. Anything like email, Facebook, we're good?
What about the Twitter strategy?
We also have a
I'm not a Twitter person.
website.
I don't really think that like an overabundance of social media is necessary. I think that in fact it's probably detrimental at a certain point because you need to have face-to-face relationships with people. So how do you megaphone that? I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think that stressing about those things is should.
No, I think that's your answer. Is face-to-face communication you think is more important than social media?
Absolutely. Okay.
Because that actually leads to the next question. Lisa, are you obligated to answer every question that people post on Facebook?
Absolutely not. That's a hard no?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard no.
Did you want
No,
to
I
think about
don't. No, I mean, if you want me to elaborate in my 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
No, I don't think anybody is obligated to do anything that they don't feel is something that's within their realm of what they want to do.
Yeah, no, I don't mean in
So-
general. I mean like as a board member.
Oh, as a board member. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think that there are some things that as a board that need to be discussed as a board, and that's why there are the positions on the board as there are, what, 8? 9?
9.
And, I think that there's the majority of things would need to be discussed and handled with that board. I think that when it becomes a public thing, that the public would be brought into it. And if there are questions that the public has, I think that if it's something that is specific to what my duties or position on the board would be, and if I feel like that's something that I feel isn't going to be detrimental to the board by me answering, then sure. But I don't feel that there is any sort of obligation for that unless it is something that is like super important to be answered.
Martin, when is a classification of information justified?
Can you explain the question?
Like when is it justified to keep something a secret and not announce it to the community?
Oh, well, I know Dawn touched on this and I agree with her. I think that if there's a personnel matter, like someone did something in semi-private and their board or the community has issues with it, and it's, a disciplinary matter or, something like that, that would negatively impact their personal lives and it's inappropriate to do that, then you would want to say, well, okay, let's do a closed meeting on this one.
Right.
Let's keep these documents private.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue into actually the next topic that I want everybody to chime in on, and we're kind of coming towards the end of the show here. But this is a topic that came up recently on a previous episode about Burning Man and enforcement. I mean, obviously, if we have a situation where some sort of a law is being broken or somebody is in physical danger, we could, of course, call the law enforcement authorities. But I'm wondering if how you guys generally feel about what we as a community can do to enforce some of the things that happen within our own community. So, for example, let's say we have somebody who is developing a reputation of breaking a lot of consent agreements, standards within the community. What do we do? Do we call that person out publicly, or do we get together as a board? Do we ban them from events? Lisa has a very strong opinion about this.
I certainly do. I think that that's something that needs to be a community action. I don't think that is a board action. That is something that the community at large needs to be made aware of, because if somebody is breaking the laws of consent, then they should not be in an adult playground like this. And excuse me if my voice sounds like it's emotional, because I feel very emotionally attached to this answer. Absolutely, if somebody is breaking the laws of consent, they should be the fuck out of our community, and everybody should know about it.
I think everybody agrees with that.
I'm really not seeing anybody saying no.
Yeah.
Public shunning.
Public
I'm with
shunning,
Dawn.
basically. I agree with public shunning because saying it behind closed doors doesn't get anything accomplished.
No.
Right. I agree with what Lisa said and what Momo said. The closed meeting aspect is for like the first offense, and once they did this one thing one time and we want to correct it and say, hey, that's not acceptable. But if it's continuous, it's a second or third time, I know it's against the burner, one of the burner rules or
That's not what radical inclusion means.
But
No.
we don't have to radically include rapists and
know what it means.
people that don't have the consent.
Right. Hayden?
Okay, so I think that, again, it's kind of tricky to generalize and say that, I mean, I agree with Lisa 100%. Like, basically, if you break laws of consent, you're fucking done. You're out. Like, yeah, maybe the first time, blah, 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 but realistically, no, dude, no person, like, you can't do that, and if you do that, it's pretty clear. Like, we don't have to try to explain it to you. I do think that things should be handled circumstantially, like
absolutely,
on a level that, like, for instance, not just like, I don't want to just say that our standard is public shaming or this or that or behind closed doors. I think that every situation is definitely particular, but we can't try to be nice about shit like that.
No. Yeah. And I'm not talking about like an accidental ass grab when I walked by you and you were and you freaked out. I'm talking about like this person has said that this other person has done this, and like multiple other people are like, yeah, that's happened to me too. Then that's clearly somebody who has predatory nature and needs to be nowhere near us. And that needs to be a community action. That needs to be something that everybody knows, all the camps know, because otherwise they leave one camp and they're blacklisted from that camp, and then they go over here and they're with this other camp and they're still at Utopia or they're still at whatever event that we're all at.
This is why I think radical inclusion.
And it's not just men. Women do this shit too, and women need to be held accountable about it too. Equity.
So the thing is, radical inclusion doesn't mean, and I've had this discussion with people like at the GLC, it does not mean that you can't kick people out. It means that you you invite everyone to come and participate. And when they come and participate and they don't fit, and they can't learn it, they don't figure it out, you don't have to keep bringing them back.
Yeah.
Radical inclusion doesn't mean they get to be here forever. It means they get to come one time.
Yeah, you got the shot.
You get the opportunity of proving yourself, and if you can't prove yourself,
or get out.
Move on.
That's
prove yourself to be a piece of shit, and we're gonna flush you down the toilet.
That's why it's my least favorite fucking principle, because people cannot interpret it to mean anything other than.
Go ahead. I also think that it's important to make sure that, like, if these things are public issues, for instance, like, let's say there's a guy that has notorious for certain behaviors or whatever, I do think that it's important that the people in the community that are making that like a publicized thing are trying to avoid any more detriment to them other than what it is that they're doing. Like, so you don't want to I think it's really shitty of people to go, oh, that guy had a problem with so on and so forth. I'm going to go talk shit about him to all of these people. You can talk, I feel like you can talk to people about
about that one thing.
About the instance, but that doesn't give you the right to start telling other people that they are anything other than whatever the situation is that you were dealing with.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, everybody's in agreement, obviously, that this is not acceptable. Unless, go ahead, Ken.
Oh, I'm in total agreement with everything everyone
Ken's
said.
like, I disagree.
But back to your original question, you started with you can use the word illegal. We're not talking about shit that's illegal. I mean, we're talking about like a 10 on the 1 to 10 scale here. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
I think the subtlety of your question is how to self-monitor ourselves. And I think the perfect example of that is both at Utopia and at Burn, we have rangers. They're part of our group that helps monitor and give feedback that's appropriate without having to go to authorities, without having to kick people out, but nudge people in the right direction.
Right.
So that they become members of our community. We welcome them back as part of radical self-inclusion.
Depending on the
We're
events.
holding ourselves to this.
I started this with, we're not talking about illegal, we're not talking about the extremism, but when we have things that are slightly off balance that aren't working in our community, as well as partying well, we're also a bunch of adults. We can handle this shit. This isn't that complex. But it's not the shaming, as funny as that answer was. It's not the going and kicking people out. It's developing people, it's building people. And part of that is saying, hey, what you're doing right now isn't really working. Let's take a look at that and how do we nudge you in the right direction to fit in.
Well, that becomes
So it's
situational
respectful.
leadership.
Yeah.
Whoever said
That's
situational,
for
you
sure.
said it, someone said it over here. I'm
Hated
sorry,
it too.
So I'm glad you brought it up because what I wanted to ask is, should there be some sort of a mechanism within our community for people to be able to file complaints, for example, reach out? Because like the Rangers,
have
for
those.
example,
Is there not?
We have those.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Rangers, for example, I'm going down a rabbit hole.
Okay, go. Take it. Run.
The Rangers, for example, at the Burn, when we went to them to complain about bike theft and we knew who took it, their response was more like, okay, we guys got it back, right? Okay, well, let it go. And that was sort of their response. And I talked to a few other people who had similar experiences as well, like that. Like, all right, well, as long as the fire's put out, we're not dealing with it.
That's what they're trained to do.
Right. So, what do you guys? Is there something that we can do here to take stronger action against that?
Yeah, particularly when you say you know who stole the bike, I mean, that's where I started with is, you go and talk to people and say, hey, stealing bikes isn't acceptable. That's not one of the principles, stealing bikes. I don't want to throw you in jail. I don't want to kick you out of this event. I just want to bitch slap you once and say, dude, that ain't cool. Stop it. And
I'm a fan of bitch slapping. I said I'm a fan of bitch slapping.
There we go. Bitch slapping.
It's dicey for me. I think sometimes you just need to fucking. Well, never mind.
But anyways, appropriate situational, going back to the word people on both sides may use, the situational approach to that is telling them that it ain't cool to steal bikes. You gotta stop, knock that crap off.
Yeah.
Not looking to kick you out, but if you continue that this is why you come to this event, you will not be welcome back. But plenty of chance to correct yourself.
So, question for potential board members, because this is an important thing to know. Do you know that we have in place a system here in the San Diego community to address interpersonal and community problems of a personal nature? We have an ombudsperson. Are you aware of that? No. Do you know who she is?
Yes.
No.
So you two know.
No, but I'm glad to know that exists, and I expected it to, but thankfully I haven't had
Julie
any issues.
Denenberg, who is also known as Gaia, has served as the community ombuds for years.
10 years.
And when issues come up where someone feels aggrieved or deeply alienated from either someone else's behavior or their own action, or mediation with Julie is really super easy to set up. Not enough people know that it exists as an option in our community, but
Well,
it
it's
is.
being brought up on a Burner podcast.
It's an extraordinarily useful tool.
So here's the funny thing. I interviewed her, and it was a difficult thing to try to spread knowledge about because she couldn't talk about anything.
Yeah, she can't actually talk about those conversations.
There's some confidentiality things.
Yeah.
And she's, good lord, that woman can keep a secret.
Oh yeah.
It's rad.
She's such a sweet
She's
person.
amazing too. So.
Right.
Well, I feel that there needs, because of having this, thank you for bringing that up. Maybe we actually used her services before, and she was a pleasure to work with. What a sweet lady. I think there should be something where it goes to the board, so the board can bring it out to the community in some way. Because like you're saying, I don't think word of mouth is really what you want, because it's like telephone. I tell him that so-and-so grabbed my ass, you could say so-and-so fucked me. I mean, come on. It's going to change as it goes through.
Absolutely, but I don't feel like this is a board issue.
Well, there needs to be somebody that you can bring it to that will bring
This
it.
is a totally different conversation than what we're having right now, though.
But that was just what his question was.
No, I'm getting opinions. I'm just trying to understand where you guys
Well,
are.
I mean, okay, so SDCAP as a board, like, that is mostly like a financial thing, and, like, you know, talking about things that have to do with collab, utopia, things like that. I don't see SDCAP as being the leaders or runners of the community, nor our police officers, you know?
And you don't want to put anything on SDCAP's plate that may have legal issues that would influence or impact them as a 501c3 that have nothing to do with their 501c3 mission statement. That's why we have an ombudsman.
There needs to be a separate entity, maybe.
Okay.
But I don't think that legally that SDCAP could participate in something like that, because that teeters on the edge of defamatory, and if there was some kind of illegality that went along with it, then it would be very bad on SDCAP to participate in that in a public sense.
For instance,
One
second, Martin, and then Meg.
I have a comment to make because I know I've been aware of a situation where SDCAP was involved in a situation where someone was asked to leave an event, and I think that's a proper role because SDCAP is in charge of Utopia, and SDCAP hires the orchestrators for Utopia, and the orchestrators decide on who's ticketing and who's this and who's that. And so if we don't want someone at an event, we don't give them a ticket.
Okay.
And then we tell iRock they're not allowed. And I think that's completely proper.
Yeah. Kind of. That's kind of how it plays out. Here's the thing. There are a set of policies and stuff in place for things like at Utopia, where SDCAP is in charge of, like, this thing went wrong, this was bad, this person has to leave. But when I first took over safety for Utopia, people, my friends, mostly members of the community who knew what my new role was, started coming to me with lists of names. These are the people who are rapists, assaulty, horn dog, creeper fucks. Don't let them come to stuff. And I'm sitting here with these lists of names. And I asked a friend who was on the board, and they were like, "Dear God, get it away from me. I don't want it anywhere near me. I don't want it anywhere near my board. I don't want it anywhere near the producers of our event." Because these lists, in addition to being defamatory, can be libelous, can be slanderous, can be things that allow for the board to be sued. We don't keep a list of creepers in the community because we can't keep a list of creepers in the community. It's illegal to keep a list of creepers.
But you're talking about something you heard from someone else.
Yes, because that's the people aren't going to self-report being a creeper. They're not going to become hey, I hear you're the new safety lead. I like to pull my dick out. Like that's not how that's going to work out. It's always going to be, hey, you know that we kicked this guy out of our camp, and then he got kicked out of their camp too because he likes to whip his dick out and flail it at people, or whatever. That's not. It's all going to be
activity.
But it's all going to be hearsay. There's nothing that you can collect legally and enforce. Enforcement at the event, wherein SDCAP is ultimately responsible for somebody being evicted from the event, that's because a problem occurred that was in violation of one or more policies. All the appropriate steps in the SOP that was very carefully written about that policy were followed. At the end of that entire process, which took 18 hours, the end result was that the person was unable or unwilling to work with what could have kept them on site and were instead asked to leave.
So basically just bring in a miscreant camp and we'll handle them.
But you made that point of the difference between a list that you were provided with that's essentially hearsay, which is I heard someone say something about somebody else that's, basically your word against theirs, and it was an event or an instance that someone's telling you about as opposed to an event that you actually witnessed. And that's different.
Absolutely.
So there's a difference. So when you have the difference where someone actually does something that people witness and they can tell you about it, or you're part of the board and you saw it, that's different. That's
But
where you say,
only if
okay,
it occurs
this
at
person
an
is not
SDCAP
allowed to come
activity
back,
or
or this
location.
is where we violate the
It's also
Berne
jurisdiction.
principle of radical
Like, it can't
inclusion
be
and
at
say,
your
well,
party.
Guys, one at a time, please.
Yeah.
So I think that was my point. I mean, I'm just saying there's a difference between hearsay and actual witnessing of an event or a situation. And so if you call that out, the board can take action of
If-
events that occur in the presence of a board member or a
If
trusted
it
member of the
happens
community.
at CoLab or at
Yeah.
Utopia,
Yeah.
it's
Like in the
jurisdictional.
event, exactly.
It can't happen at your party and
Yeah,
a
like
board
3
member
years ago,
happens
I
to
would
be
like
there.
3 years ago, if I have an
About
issue
it.
with somebody, I can't go ahead and have like CoLab be responsible for that fact 3 years later. It's something that wasn't their event to be.
No, because
Exactly.
we're talking about the difference between an event lead or a board member witnessing an activity and
Being privy to
you
behavior.
being allowed and having a community member coming up to the board member and saying, "Gee whiz, this person's a jerk because this and this and this happened."
Right.
And that's basically the definition of hearsay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Right.
I agree with what is being said, but what do you do? And this is just a question to you, Meg, because you kind of
'Cause I
touched all that area.
Did all that.
And you did all the policies for the safety. What happens? I agree with you on bringing all these names is kind of a hard place to go from because you didn't see any of it. But who do they go to if they don't know Gaia? If this happens to them and you don't want it to go out as word of mouth, you want it to go out as a consolidated thing. You do not want this guy around you or this girl around you because they're going to grab the purse.
The thing is we can't actually do that. I can't take the list of names that very trusted friends gave me. I mean, like, these are people who I absolutely positively 100% believe that the information they gave me on these individuals is 100% factual, and that if I ran into the guy with my car, I probably wouldn't stop.
But it doesn't matter.
But we can't actually do anything with that information until he's at CoLab and rapes somebody, or he's at Utopia and he attacks somebody. Then we have the ability to step in. If people don't know who Gaia is, well, I think personally, that's why I brought it up. I think that's one of the jobs of SDCAP is to make sure that, like, hey, we don't handle this, but we have a resource for you.
The PR guy.
The PR person, perhaps, that you don't have, but you really fucking need, in my opinion. I think that the entity has to protect the entity, which means you don't want to be sued, you don't want to be stripped of the things that, what little material goods you have. And so you can't do things like accumulate lists of creepers.
I agree.
The people who lead departments and who do parties and do events, they have the list of creepers. They know who the fucking creepers are. This information gets passed around from one event producer type person to another event producer type person. They're like, hey, yo, you know, the Ruka dog is like fucking ass sniffer, man, every time. She's up in the butt, and you know,
She's
like the
actually
word
hot.
gets. I know, she's a sweetheart. But
This is one of the most well-behaved dogs I've ever seen.
she's been so amazing doing so. That information gets spread around on the down low, on the like personal information exchange. Like, yo, I saw this guy said he was coming to your thing on your Facebook page. Just wanted FYI. Dude's a
If you want to
dick.
be proactive, I mean, you can do that with security as well. You can say, hey, keep your eye out on, like certain individuals, such and such thing, but you can't really be like, public about it.
Yeah, you can't. You can't have the like official
You
list
don't
of
have a
shit.
right to go to Utopia. It's not a personal God-given human right. If you're a rapist, we're allowed to tell you that you don't get a
We
picture.
can indefinitely exclude someone from the event. We can't have a blacklist. If we have a blacklist, we lose our regional status. Burning
Honestly-
Man does not allow you to have a blacklist of people who are never allowed to come. You can have a list of people who are indefinitely not allowed to attend.
Yes, Lisa?
Honestly, like I think that this is a really important time to say, if you are a victim of something that has gone on find your voice and come to us and tell us about what happened so that we can do something about it as your camp, as your friends, as whatever, or go to the fucking police. And I don't ever say that. But when it comes down to something where the thing that happened to you could potentially happen to another person, it becomes your social and civic responsibility to do something about it. And I, as Lisa Ubiquitous, would like to offer myself to you as a safe place that you can come to and talk to me about any of this. I have experience in this personally and with friends, unfortunately, and it's really, really an ugly topic. And I know that when I went through mine, I didn't have a safe place to go, and I didn't know where to turn, and I had issues with that. So
I can personally vouch for Lisa's ability to handle some of the most stressful situations in the world. When I was
Megan
in charge,
and I handled one.
When I was in charge of Sanctuary at Poncho, she was the one who was right there next to me, helping me get the entire debrief and situation dealt with. And like, fuck yeah, Lisa is, if something happened to me, she'd probably be my first phone call.
So
there's that.
So there's safe places, and your friends are those, or if you don't feel like you have one of those, come to me or anybody else that you trust, and let's do this as a community together, where we figure out how to do this. This isn't just a conversation for the 9 people on the board. In fact, it's not a conversation for the 9 people on the board. It is a community action. It's something that we all need to take and put close to our hearts as something that is an absolute fucking priority.
Jazz hands.
And we all support and love each other, and we're not going to tell you that you're wrong. We're not going to try to spin your situation or gaslight you and tell you that did or didn't happen or anything. It's just we need to find our voices, and we need to feel confident in saying something openly about our experiences so that something can be done about it, because otherwise we're going to go in these circular conversations of who's responsible, who can do something for fucking ever. So let's fucking change it.
Beautiful.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, that's a good final statement on that topic. Yeah, we can do it. We can actual clap for that. Actual clap. All right. Let's. We're gonna wrap it up over here. The last couple of questions that I had listed here is for everybody, and they're just sort of softballers. How important is it to have attended the burn in order to be a leader in the community?
Not important at all.
Nope. No, not a requirement.
Was that a unanimous?
Yeah, that was unanimous.
I didn't agree.
Not even a point.
You don't count Freckles. You're just a sound guy.
No, it's okay. I'll change it in post though.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna go around the room just for everybody, 2 minutes or less. What do you suck at? And no positive, negative shit like I'm too much of a perfectionist. What do you suck at, Maria?
I suck at, I would say, my writing and speaking abilities. I'm very flowery, and I can make a subject last, instead of 2 minutes, like 20 minutes. I mean, I can. Somebody else.
You're doing it right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now with my hands. You can't see. Oh.
So not your PR person. Got it.
I suck at time management. I don't go to sleep enough when I'm partying, and I'm usually late to work.
This goes back and negates that last question I asked about how do you get shit done.
He's a boring person.
Handle
I mean, he
it.
goes
The way you get shit done is handle it.
Yeah.
But I'm that's probably my biggest thing.
Martin, what do you suck at?
Sometimes I suck at saying no, so I overcommit. So I think everybody needs to learn how to say no when they're overcommitted already, and they say, "Okay, I'll do it. I love this. I'll do it." And sometimes you have to just be able to say, "But I'm not always good at that." So I suck at saying no when it's appropriate to do so.
Okay.
Terrible at spelling. I'm very creative with it though.
This is factual.
Oh, wow. Yeah, true. On our questionnaire, it asked, what do we suck at? That wasn't the word. We helped him. We could help on the board. Mine was vision. I don't have great vision. I'm much better with the lines there. I can draw them pretty well, but don't ask me to draw the lines in. And damn, I wish I was more compassionate. Just personal goal.
Be more compassionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the question on the application as well, and what I answered there was tact. Because I can often just say what I think needs to be said, but I'm not thinking about how it occurs for other people, or what they might interpret that I'm saying, or that it might hurt someone's feelings. So that happens a lot.
I think that was our bonding. That was what made you and I good friends. Very
I
direct.
just say things and I apologize after.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Yeah, oops.
All the time.
No.
I'm really messy and disorganized. So I'm constantly cleaning up my own mess. It makes me feel not so good.
Physical mess, yeah.
Yes, physical mess. Yeah, Lainey helps
You'll be
me.
great as a board member.
Yes, I'll be great as a board member. Not really good at keeping my room clean.
Yeah.
And other things.
Lisa?
I really suck at saying no as well. I definitely overcommit myself and I overextend, and that's one of the things that I've been working on. So.
All right, and this is going to be the grand finale. Is there anything that you feel was asked of you in like the questionnaire for the board, or just things that you think in general people might not know about you that you would like to express to the world? Starting on this side. Right.
Oh, okay. I'm an opera singer. I have a degree in, I have a BM, not a bowel movement, but a bachelor's in music. Anyway, I used to get that a lot when I would tell people what my degree was, but I have a degree in opera performance.
That's so cool. Hayden?
I like playing chess. Come play chess with me.
Alright, we'll do that.
You should steal my son, Spencer.
Well, I play chess too, but that was one I was going to say. So I have government experience and I have an accounting emphasis, a bachelor's in business administration with an accounting emphasis. So I was going to say I had an accounting degree, but it's actually called a business administration degree. It's a business BS.
Bullshit.
BS. Actually did.
Bullshit on the development.
It's a bullshit.
I didn't pilot high and deep, so I don't have a PhD, but yeah, I'm a BS.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
I have no idea what to answer that, so no.
He doesn't want us to know anything about him.
Pretty private guy.
So secretive.
Yeah.
Don?
So there's so many things. So it happens all the time. People are like, oh, I didn't know that. But I'm going to go with Marie's. Actually, my first passion and my first thing that brought me to New York City was actually my pursuit of music. And I have a Bachelor of Music degree in jazz voice and used to do that for a while before I started my martial arts career. Yeah, stuff.
Sing with people.
Renaissance chick. That's me.
I love to travel.
People don't know that about
traveled by many. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything. I've train hopped, traveled in my van, hitchhiked. Just get to go places and do cool things.
Lisa?
I wear my heart on my sleeve. You guys know everything about me anyway.
No secrets.
That's my answer.
Cool. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up then. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I can tell you, agree or disagree with me on this, Meg. I feel like I learned more about the board and its scope and all the things that go into it on this episode than I did on last one.
I think that because on the last episode we had Jen in, and Jen is not much of a public speaker, but on this episode we had Casa in, and she is. And so there was a lot more information and interjection on her part about like how things actually work. And
so shout out, thank you for having been here earlier. She's not there now.
Yeah, Casa had to go home.
You can clap for her empty chair. All right, best of luck to all of you. Thank you all for everything that you do for the community. As we always like to wrap the show, bringing ours to that. You guys all do volunteer. You guys all do work. Everyone who's in this room has done a fuck ton of work for this community, and I love the fuck out of all of you for all of that. So thank you guys so much for sitting on this. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We love you too. Thanks, Arash.
Everyone loves Arash. Stop recording now. Fix it in post.
All right, well, there it is. That was our SDCAP board roundtable lots of words in that title. New episodes are up on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. We are on multiple podcasting platforms such as Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, among many others. We're also on iHeart Radio, and if you do want to listen to the show, it's not hard to find. I've already made that pun, I'm sure. The Burner Podcast movement is made possible due to the efforts of various contributing producers as well as our regular staff, which include our network music editor, Navjit Sarna, who is also the producer of Burner Podcast Presents Alkaline. Our online editor is Tori Massey. Contributing producer Super Suze. Recording engineer Freckle. Chief Playa scientist Ramiro Martinez. Special project manager Paul McCarthy. I've been thinking about politics too much. Executive producer Meg King, and you, dear listener, our music, our intermission music, which you didn't get to hear today, it would have been by Duckman. You can check out his music at duckmansd.bandcamp.com. But maybe you did hear it. I don't know. The Burner Podcast theme song is America's Horse with No Name remix, produced by Joman. Check out his music at soundcloud.com/DJ Joman. Learn more about all the stuff that we're doing at burnerpodcast.com. And so until next time, love and light and all that other crap. Good night.